Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I am joined by a very special guest. Elizabeth Bishop is a horror fan, writer, and the co-host of the Yamityville Horror Podcast. Welcome to the show, Liz. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hi there. Yeah, you're
Hi.
very, very welcome. You're very welcome. It's a long. It feels like a long time coming.
It is. I feel like we've spoken so many times over the Twitterverse, and then we finally bumped into each other, didn't we? We had an in-person little bump into each other
We
in
did
the
have an in-person
in the
bump
dead
into
of
each other
night at
in
Fright
the
Fest.
dead of night. I was just roaming the streets alone, as I often do, and you just happened to appear just out the side of an alleyway for some reason and accosted me.
Yeah,
That, of course, that's not what happened. It was in a social situation, surrounded by people, safety.
roaming the bar, I think it was.
It was roaming the bar, wasn't it? And it was one of
You
those
look
where
a
I
bit like you
think
don't remember. Am I springing this on you? And you're like, I
I
don't
do
remember.
remember. I do remember you said something about my old boy T-shirt, and then I turned around, and
Oh,
then And
yes.
then we were trying to work out where I got it from because I couldn't quite remember. And then which was when because I'd only really seen your profile picture on Twitter, and it was then when I went, "Hang on a minute, I know you," and
Yeah.
that was how it began. And then I do the thing I always do, which is, "You should come on the show, come on the podcast, do it."
It's a
Uh,
good way to get people, to be fair.
yeah, definitely, it
Good
is.
way
It's a
to
good
rope
way.
people in. Wait until
Exactly.
they're drunk and vulnerable and then ask them.
It's fine. I think it's fine in that environment where everybody's. Well, I just realized what you just said. That was wait until they're
Oh, you
drunk
just
and
did waffle
vulnerable
over
and
that.
then jump.
Yeah.
Excuse me, do you want to come? I feel like in that environment where we're at Fright Fest and we're, involved in horror films and horror film journalism, I guess, then it's fine. I feel like
Yeah.
if I'm just in Sainsbury's and I'm just walking up to people and going, "Do you want to come on my podcast?" Then it's slightly weird. Very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Might be a little odd. It worked though. Here we are.
Yeah, it did work. There we go. Success.
Yes.
Success. And we're here today to talk about Terrifier 3. Kind of weird that we've never actually covered any of the other Terrifier films officially on the podcast. Um, but maybe we'll get around to the other two eventually as well. I see you've got a lovely picture of Art the Clown
I have
on the
indeed.
wall looking incredibly sinister. Is that from a particular Terrifier film?
I'm not sure. It was actually gifted to me by our dear friend Zobo with a shotgun.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it was a Secret Santa present last year actually, when the
Mm.
girls did Secret Santa. So
A very kind and
yes.
thoughtful gift, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, so what is your history with the Terrifier franchise? Have you been a fan since day one? Did you come into it a little bit later? Because obviously he was in a short film and then like that anthology, All Hallows Eve as well.
Yeah, so I watched the first Terrifier around the time that it came out on streaming because I'd sort of seen a few people talking about it, but it didn't seem to be as big a deal as it is now.
Mm.
And I just thought, I remember watching it on a Sunday hungover and just being like, oh, this looks like like an easy little slasher to put on. And then the next thing I know, a woman's being cut in half from the vagina down, and I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Not quite the fun afternoon I was looking for.
Back
Um,
in the day when you were hungover, it used to be the Hollyoaks Omnibus that got you through the day. Now it's
mm,
horrible Terrifier slashes where people are getting cut from the nether
yeah.
regions all the way down in half.
I can justify this though. I think it's better to see other people that are suffering worse than you are.
Oh
When
yeah,
you're
definitely.
hungover, if you watch other people
Oh
suffer
hell yeah.
worse, then it puts your pain into perspective.
Yeah, it
That's my
does.
justification
Because
for
you can
being
be
a weirdo.
no, I think that makes total sense. I'm all for that. Watching other people. Oh, see, other people got it worse. Other people are getting split in half, and I'm over here with a bit of a headache, feeling a
Yeah,
little bit sick.
exactly.
Uh,
But
and
yeah,
then
I loved that first one, and then I was very lucky to be at Fright Fest when the second one
oh
premiered on
wow, okay.
Sunday, and
Oh,
it was the Sunday after. Was it Sunday or was it Monday? I can't remember. It was one of the last days, and it was Terrifier 2 and then Barbarian premieres.
Oh wow.
And it was one of
What
the best cinematic days I've ever had. It was fucking
a
great.
wow. I think
And
that
yeah.
may have been the year before, because again, me and Andy, we've been latecomers to the Fright Fest
Mhm.
party. I think that was maybe the year before we like officially attended for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is an amazing one too. And like Terrifier 2, what is it, like 2.5 hours long, something like that?
Yeah. But the thing is, I think because so I watched it with my friend Iona at Fright Fest, and it was it was the one that we were the most excited for. It was
Mm,
like the whole weekend felt like it was leading up to it. So, we've had a few drinks, got our snacks in and stuff, and just absolutely hyped to go. And yeah, it's 2.5 hours, but I think when you watch it in that kind of environment where
yeah, yeah, definitely.
everyone
I agree.
there wants to see it. Everyone there is a horror fan. You've got like, I think the old screen used to hold like, I don't know, like 500 people or something like that. And you're all just, everyone's like cheering and laughing and screaming and
Mm.
cringing. And it was so much fun. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours at all.
So you must have seen the notorious bedroom scene fresh, not knowing anything about it before it played out on screen. Jesus
Yes.
Christ. I mean, I know we'll get into it with this film, but I feel like that scene still feels like way worse than anything we get in Terrifier 3. Do you feel like that?
Um, I do, but there's a kill in Terrifier 3 that is the first one that made me actually look away from the screen. But I
Oh,
think it's more of like a personal fear of mine.
okay.
So, but
I
we
see what
can
you mean.
get to that
Um,
if you want.
I think because the bedroom scene just kind of feels kind of relentless. I feel like there are
Yeah.
some cringeworthy kills in Terrifier 3, but I think they kind of feel like they're over and done with fairly quickly, whereas the bedroom
Mhm.
scene feels very stretched out over time, relentless, keeps going, just like horrific. Um, yeah, so for me, I kind of a little bit later with Terrifier. I think I'd heard loads of stuff about it for a long time, seen pictures of art and various things, but was never really ever sold on it for some reason. I was a bit like, well, will I like that? I don't know. Saw some clips, thought it looked just a bit cheap. Obviously it was
Mhm.
super low budget the first one, a bigger budget the second time round, and then of course the third time round. And amazing that it's like such a cultural phenomenon now that it's like
Mhm.
the number one movie in the US,
Mhm.
making more money than Joker 2, which
Mhm.
is kind of insane to think about, like an established comic book franchise character being done over by little old art. I didn't really like the first one. I just didn't really vibe with it. I found it a little bit. It was obviously, it had sort of like a nasty nature about it, and I kind of got
Mhm.
that, but I couldn't quite work out how I felt about art as like a iconic slasher. And of
Mhm.
course, now people are saying he's the first iconic slasher of this century. The second one, I think I definitely enjoyed it more. It's not like my most favorite thing ever, but I definitely enjoyed it more. I feel like the lore, the lore felt a lot more interesting. I like the supernatural elements, and I feel like Lauren LaVera is a great like final girl, and the fact that she's
Mhm.
in that outfit in that finale feels epic.
Mhm.
Feels suitably epic, and
Yeah.
perhaps Terrifier 3 was lacking that suitably epic side in a way. Again, we will get into that. Um, But yeah, so I think it's probably good for us to be able to discuss it as well, because without spoiling anything right now, are you pleased with Terrifier 3 overall as a fan?
Overall, yes, I am very pleased, but there's definitely some things that I would have preferred to be left out, which is
Mm,
quite interesting on what
okay.
you've just said, because I think you and I might like and dislike different things for different
Mm.
reasons.
How are you on like the lore of Terrifier? Because I still find myself googling stuff afterwards, being like, does this mean that? What does this mean? Was this from the second one? How's this happen? That's why I feel
Yeah.
like we were talking about this before we started recording. People who are going to see Terrifier 3 and only Terrifier 3. There's loads of stuff you're gonna not know what the hell's going on. Who's that woman with like disfigured face? How is she dead, then alive, then dead again? how is Art the Clown just ahead, and now he's back to life? Yeah, like,
Yeah, I
like
think, and again, like, not to obviously not to get into spoilers or to get too far ahead of things, but I think like the law is a little bit confusing. Um, and I think from what the directors said, it's probably kind of meant to be at the moment, because I think obviously they're leading into
mm,
a fourth one. Um, and I think that that will hopefully explain things, but also I'll just say it how it is for me personally. I don't really care about any of the lore. For
yeah.
me, that was
I
my
feel
least
like
favorite of the
yeah,
favorite parts of the new one. Again, not going into spoiler territory, but obviously there is more story as you would
yeah.
expect. But I don't care.
Mm.
I kind of want just art going around doing funny kills, pulling funny faces, lots of gore. Like I like Lauren LaVera. I think that as you say, she's a really good final girl, and she's badass. And I like all the people in it really. Like I think they're all funny and bring something to it. But I just don't care about them. I care
Mm.
about art. I want art to win at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that, doesn't it? It's almost like an anti-hero type thing
Yeah.
in the way, isn't it? Yeah. Even when he's going up against little bitty kiddies. Again, we'll get into that. And of course, you attended the Terrifier for a UK premiere
Mhm.
in Leicester Square. How was that? There was an Art the Clown there, wasn't there? I say an Art the Clown. I know it wasn't actually him,
Someone
but
dressed as him. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. I also went to Damien Leone, Phil Falcone, the producer, and
Oh, yeah.
Elliott Fullam. They did a book signing at
I
Forbidden
did
Planet
see
just
that you went to that
before.
as well, yeah. So that's the
Yeah,
novel. That's the novelization
of the second one.
of the second one, which I think is
Yes.
maybe is it written by the same guy who's writing the like Ty West trilogy books currently? I think
I'm
he's
not
doing X
sure.
Maxine. That might be incorrect. I'll try and work that out. Oh yeah, but that I'm assuming that was super cool as well.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was not, I mean, it was very fast because it was absolutely rammed. Obviously there was a massive queue. But yeah, we got to, have a few minutes just chatting to them and telling them that we were coming to the screening and we're really excited.
Mm,
And they were really sweet, and Damien Leone's really hot, so that was nice.
mm.
And then yeah, we went to the gala screening. There was an open bar, which was lovely. And they were there, and with what's her name, Scaffidi, the girl who plays Victoria. Her first name
Oh
eludes me
yeah.
now.
Okay. Okay.
But she
And
was
and
there
is
too.
so the girl who plays Victoria, is she also
Mhm.
under the makeup in Terrifier 3?
Yes,
It is her.
yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's
she's
cool.
what's amazing is she's absolutely stunning, like
Yeah. Yeah.
unbelievably gorgeous. And then
Yeah.
you see her in the film, and you're like, "You poor woman," like having to hide your beauty under all that
Lots of attractive people involved in these films, as you said, Damien Leone,
Oh yeah,
obviously Samantha Scaffidi, Lauren LaVera. I'm like,
but yeah,
oh, god damn, and
yeah.
strangely, I think a lot of people are horny for art, aren't they?
Yes, we are.
We. Okay,
Mm.
I was pointing over there at the horny for art people, but you're
I'm
involved.
pointing
You're
directly at
involved, are you?
myself. Yeah, me and all the Ghouls gang, we absolutely
Yeah.
love him. We talk about him every day. I actually got him tattooed on my leg on Saturday.
Oh
I would
wow,
show
you
you, but it's at
did.
the very top of my leg, and it would be very inappropriate for me to stand up
Mm.
and pull my trousers down. But yes, I got him
Yeah.
tattooed with little sunflower sunglasses.
Oh, cool.
I love
Uh,
him.
There we go. That's it. I was gonna say, all those people horny for art, how dare they? But you're involved. You're tattooed. What else?
Leading
What-
the cult, apparently.
Yeah. Oh my God. There you go. That's awesome. It looked like a lot of fun. The screening that you went to as well. So that's awesome. I am kind of interested and do kind of want to pick up the Terrifier 2 novelization, because I feel like I know the lore is the stuff we're not that interested in, but I'd still like to know what they're thinking with some of these
Mhm.
things and what this could potentially mean. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit like kind of fascinated by art in a way, despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the films. I'm still kind
Mhm.
of like interested. I'm still like, what makes him tick? Where did he come from? How did he come to be? Is he like being controlled by a demon? Is he possessed by a demon? Obviously, we work out some stuff about his connection to Victoria. Victoria, that's right, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Her and she's like some sort of what was the word that they used when they were saying she's like a vessel, like some sort of vessel
Best.
for
Yeah.
to allow him to regenerate. Did I get that right? From kind of that's kind of what I came to understand from the third
Yeah, it's
film.
a bit fuzzy, isn't it?
It is
I'm not
fuzzy.
gonna lie, I kind of again, like, this is where you and I differ in that, like, I don't wanna know what makes him tick, I don't wanna know where he comes
Mm,
from. I think we will find that out,
yeah.
but I kind of find it more terrifying, like, in the
Oh,
first one
absolutely.
where he's literally just like, is he human or
Mm,
is he a creature? Is he a ghost? Is he a spirit? Like, what is he? And
yeah.
then as soon as the word demon gets brought in, I was kind of like, oh, rolling my eyes, like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, you just want him to be a sick bastard. And do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm totally on board with you with that. It's the stuff I've been talking about this week with Joker 2 coming out. And I was like, my favorite iteration of Joker is when you don't know who he is, where he came from. I love in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker, but they're like, oh, he might be military trained, but we can't find any records. We've got no fingerprints, we've got no record of him at all. And even he doesn't stick to one story in terms of saying where he's from. That
Mhm.
is much more creepy and fascinating, like not knowing. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so that kind of makes sense. Because for age I was like, is that his face or is that a mask with Terrifier? And I guess, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Don't want to spoil anything, but we will be spoiling the entirety of the film. Okay, just a little bit of horror news, Liz, before we jump into Terrifier 3. It was the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, and the winners have been announced for absolutely loads of the awards. We've mentioned this a few times on the show. I placed some votes, but it's one of those things where I'm like, oh God, who did I vote for again? Did my person win? Can't remember. So things like uh, Best Supported Performance, Alyssa Sutherland in Evil Dead Rise. Best First Feature, Skinamarink. What else? Best Documentary Feature, The Legacy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And of course, Phil recently was on the show talking about Blair Witch with us. He was involved in that documentary. So that's awesome. He posted on Twitter him with the award, giving it a kiss. Congratulations, Phil. How exciting. Like, best makeup effects was E5. You mentioned Shudder. That was obviously a big one. Um, Best kill in a violent nature, the yoga kill. Did you see that, Liz?
I still haven't seen it. I've heard lots about this yoga kill, though. I'm very intrigued.
It is good. It is like an unbelievably great moment in a pretty good film, but it kind of just leaves you wanting more. You're like, okay, I want more
Mhm.
of that, and then it never really gives it to you, which is kind of annoying. Best director, Lee Cronin, Evil Dead Rise. Best lead performance, David Dasmalch. The Chainsaw Award is awesome, though. It's just like a skull with a chainsaw in it. It looks badass. I don't know how I could ever potentially get my hands on one, but I kind of need to somehow. Steal it? Maybe.
Make friends with someone at Fangoria.
Make friends with someone at Fangoria and then rob them. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah.
Um, there we go. So the other piece of news is the film The Monkey, the new film from director Osgood Perkins, who directed Longlegs. We've got a trailer for it now. Um, did you see this trailer, Liz?
I didn't see the trailer because I try to avoid trailers because I feel like they
Mm.
give away a lot. But I
Yes.
am very excited about it, and it comes out on my birthday. So I feel like it's a sign that it's going
Oh
to be
my
good.
God.
I know.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel like that's a sign.
It's
Definitely.
got to be, hasn't it?
It looks like it, yeah. It's quite teasy, the trailer, which was nice. Like sometimes I look at the length of the trailer. If the length of the trailer is like 2.5 minutes, I go, nah, that's
Mm,
gonna be everything. If
yeah.
it's like a minute or a minute and a half, I'm like, I'll probably watch that. They probably wouldn't show too much. I don't feel like this one shows too much.
Okay.
So yeah, it's obviously based on the Stephen King short story where there's just a little monkey toy with his clapping his little symbols together, and every time he does that, someone close to the main character dies. Stars Theo James. I think Elijah Wood's in it as well. Yeah, Elijah Wood's in
Yes.
it. Sarah Levy.
I love it. It's solid though. So I
Oh,
don't know if you
yeah.
can tell I've got a bit of a sore throat. I've been off work the last couple of days, and I'm not gonna lie to you,
No.
I did play it for like 8 hours straight today.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
woke up and I was like, it's time. I just played it for hours. It's really, really good. It's very, very creepy. I've lost my soul a couple of times, like from jump scares. And it's quite hard. Like, I'm used to Resident Evil where it's kind of like run around,
Yeah.
shoot some zombies, occasionally figure out a puzzle. But Silent Hill's like, it's quite
Yeah.
solid. It's kind of like you can have health every, like once an hour. But here's like 40 head nurses, and yeah, I'm struggling a
Yeah.
little bit. I've seen the you died screen quite a lot.
Oh God. I
But yeah,
think
it's really good. It's really good.
it makes you a bigger person. I feel like you grow a
Yeah,
lot once you're humbled by a computer game like that.
yeah,
And I guess it's different to Resident Evil in a way because like when you're Leon in Resident Evil 4, you're like a superhuman essentially. Only you're like a secret agent. You're like a badass. You're a police
yeah,
officer number two. Whereas James in Silent Hill 2 is just a normal feller looking for his wife who's maybe
yeah.
dead, maybe dead. Did Were you a fan of the original?
So I never actually played the original.
Mm.
I'm very late to gaming, I must
Okay.
say. I sort of during lockdown, got a Switch, got a PlayStation, suddenly became obsessed, and then lived on my own for 3 years, and it was pretty much all I did. Played
Yeah.
PlayStation, played Switch all day, every day. So yeah, some of the classics I didn't really play first time around. So things like
Mm.
Silent Hill 2 and like the original Resident Evil 4. I'm like, I've played them for the
Yeah.
first time as the remakes, and I love it.
But
It's really good.
but that's amazing, isn't it? Because I think the remakes have been great for introducing people
Yeah.
to these stories, and hopefully we'll get more. I mean, I'm definitely going to pick it up soon. I've been just
Yes.
looking forward to it. And yeah, I've been watching some people play it a bit, not too much. I don't want anything. I said I don't want anything spoiled for me. I know it's a remake of an old game, but still, like some things are gonna be different, aren't they? Cool. So that's a little bit of horror news. Now we'll just do a little bit of what we've been watching. So this can be anything from the last 7 days, maybe a little bit longer, horror or horror adjacent that you've seen that you could possibly recommend or enjoyed.
Ooh. So there's two that I want to talk about. One I think you've seen, the other I don't know if you have.
Mm.
Um, Only because I haven't seen you like post about it or anything, but that doesn't mean you haven't watched it, of course. So this week I watched VHS Beyond. Have you seen
Hmm.
it yet?
I did get a
I
chance to see it. Yes.
Yes, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fucking brilliant. I again like nearly hit the roof a couple of times for some of the jump scares, especially in the skydiving bit.
Oh
But
yeah, that was
yeah,
mad. That one.
well, I am terrified of flying anyway. So
Yeah.
even I won't spoil it because obviously everyone needs to watch it and it's only been out like a week, but um there's a bit, yeah, where people go skydiving, and even just them in the aeroplane was giving me raging anxiety before anything
Oh
else
God.
happened. So but yeah, brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was perfect, like spooky season watching because it's
It
like
was
fun and scary and stupid and
yeah, and very like sci-fi focused, wasn't it?
yes.
This offering, whereas some of the others have maybe been in different directions. But yeah, I think it's always a good thing. I feel like if we get these every year, that's good. It becomes almost like a regular thing to look forward to now,
Mhm.
doesn't it? A VHS movie. Um,
And then
awesome.
the other one was I watched Oddity the other
Oh
night, the new
yes.
Damien McCarthy. You
Mm,
seen it?
I've seen that. Yes.
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 That absolutely frightened the life out of me.
Yeah,
I
it was creepy, wasn't
loved
it?
it.
It was very, very creepy, very atmospheric.
I didn't like it as quite as much as Caveat because Caveat really is like one of the scariest films I've seen in years. But
I kind of didn't really vibe with Caveat too much.
really,
There
I
was
do
obviously
think
a caveat Easter egg in Oddity, wasn't there?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
there
which
was.
I really enjoyed. I
Yeah,
think Caveat's one of those like you either really, really enjoy it or you kind of like, nah. And I think a lot of
yeah,
people weren't that bothered by it because it is very sort of subtle and slow and quiet, and just it's more like there's creepy things rather than like big booming
Big,
jump scares and
big,
things. But
big wooden man coming at you.
oh yeah, but I think Caveat and Oddity. I think he's 2 for 2 for me. Damien McCarthy is 2 for 2.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
if
yeah,
he keeps making films like that, he could be one of my new favorite directors because he knows how to make my blood go cold. I don't know. I love it.
yeah. I mean, I am really enjoying this wave of like Irish horror as well
Mhm.
currently, and Fright Fest has been something that's kind of shown a lot of Irish horror over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
Um, that again, yeah, that I've also enjoyed. So things like "You Are Not My Mother,"
Hmm.
"All You Need Is Dead." All you need is dead. That was one we saw at that was one we saw at Fright Fest. All you need is death. There we go. I knew it was that. Um, uh, that was one we saw at Fright Fest Glasgow. That was great. I feel like I'm missing another Irish horror film that I've seen recently. Oh yeah, the
We
Irish language
Yeah,
Irish language horror film, The Ghost at Fright Fest
and
as well.
Doge.
Yeah, that's right. I can never say that, so thank you for adding
I mean,
that.
I've probably just butchered it. Irish
Sounds right.
friends will be like, that
Sounds
was
right.
awful.
But you know, like sometimes if a horror film is from a particular country, it almost doesn't matter. You kind of know that you're gonna enjoy it in a
Hmm.
certain way. And I feel like
Yeah,
currently it's Irish. It's always been like Korean horror for me. Um,
yeah,
but now the Irish are offering some great stuff as well. So yeah,
yeah.
good times. Um, I've got a couple, but I'll just mention I saw the Speak No Evil remake with older what's his name? James McAvoy,
McAvoy.
direct directed by James Watkins. Where do you sit on this? Are you like we don't have to sit on it, but where do you sit? Where do you sit with it? Are you like
Um, I
pointless
haven't seen
remake?
it yet. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I absolutely adore the first one. It's like a 10 out of 10 film for me. So I'm a little
Yeah,
bit hesitant. But then a lot of people that have seen it and liked the original have said that it's really good. So I don't know. I'm
I
not a,
think
I'm not a massive McAvoy fan, to be honest.
he is absolutely doing McAvoy in Split, chewing the scenery,
Yeah, and
big
that's it. I'm
scary
just
mouth. Big
mm,
scary mouth.
just
He's absolutely ripped to the bone in this as well. There's a bit I'm like, why has he got his top off? Why is he just in his little pants and
why
his little
not?
tighty whities? And exactly, that's what I'm gonna say. And then I realized why not. It feels like an unnecessary remake, but I think the reframing of it as like somewhere else, so it's like in Devon, like the West Country, reframing it somewhere else, and kind of maybe from the get-go painting him as a bit of a sinister figure that you shouldn't trust.
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like in the original, it takes a while for you to feel like that about
Yeah.
the antagonist. Um, I kind of also like this thing that where his like West Country accent wasn't as prevalent when the film started, and then as he started to get more and more nuts, the old farmer accent started coming out even more. And I like that. I thought that was a nice subtle sort of little character thing, and you watch it in the same sort of way as the original, where you're like, oh my God, don't do that, please don't. Oh God, there's maybe less of a bleak note to it, especially with
Mm.
again, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but less bleak. There's a very like bleak part or multiple parts in the original, whereas this one, I think it goes, you know what? Maybe audiences aren't ready for that. But
Yeah, but that's what annoys me because we are ready for
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
why
yeah,
the
yeah,
original was so successful because
yeah,
that's what we want. We want to come away like feeling something.
yeah.
Well, I do anyway.
Just
I
make me
mean,
feel something.
I
Someone,
mean, it
please.
doesn't make me feel good. Like I've
Oh
only
hell
watched
no.
Speak No Evil twice. The first time was the first time, and the
Mm,
second time I rewatched it because we covered it on Yamatoville, and it just you feel like you've got a black cloud over your head for like a week after watching it, but
yeah.
at least it, like I say, it makes you feel something. It makes you think.
Mm.
It makes you lie in bed at night and think about what you've
Oh
just
God.
seen. Whereas, like, other things. Just I don't know. I just
This
can't imagine
one,
a film with James McAvoy making me feel that way. To be honest.
yeah. If I guess this one feels more of a thriller in a way,
Mm,
just feels like a sort of thriller where, yeah. But do you know what? As someone who I completely wrote it off, like going, that's a completely pointless remake. I'm not going to give it the time of day. Then I started hearing about the reviews, and I thought, I'll give it some time. And I'm kind of glad I
mhm.
did because it was a completely different experience, I guess, to the original. Is there anything else that
Yeah.
I've seen? Oh, I did watch All Hallows Eve for the first time as well. The first appearance of art in a cinematic. It's weird after seeing three Terrifier films and then seeing that. It's really odd to see
Hmm.
him in his original state. And it feels like a combination of things. Some things are from that short film, I think, so he looks very different. And then there's like some newer stuff where he looks more like traditional art. But you can understand how from that film, um, that he's obviously the most prevalent thing in that film.
Hmm.
And if you're going to take anything from it, it should be that. And also, if we're talking about art killing kids, especially in Terrifier 3, he's done it before in All Hallows Eve, if you remember. He's
I
he's
can't, I
he's
can't remember. I watched it years ago and then didn't revisit it when I watched
yeah,
Terrifier. So
yeah. But
I
that's the
didn't
thing.
even
People were
remember
talking
him
about,
being
oh,
part of it.
he's going to kill a kid this time, and everyone's going, oh, that's too far. He's done it already. Two kids as
Eh,
well.
fuck
Off
'em.
screen, no, off screen, and I feel like that's something that Damien Leone is obviously very keen to continue. The older
Mhm.
off screen killing of kids. 'Cause that's fine, isn't it? People go, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Well, the dead kids off screen, as long as I don't see it happening, I'm fine with it.
See,
Uh,
but Speak No Evil didn't care about hurting kids on screen,
yeah, that's true. Ooh,
and we
ooh.
all loved it.
When we all loved it and said, don't remake this
Yeah.
ever. Or if you do, make sure the kids are perfectly fine throughout. Um, okay, so that's it. That's all for what we've been watching, apart from Terrifier 3, which we've both seen. You've seen twice. So lots and lots to cover of this. So currently it's got 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes score 76% audience, 89% critics. Letterbox 3.2 out of 5. And I got some choice letterbox reviews. I tried to do a nice cross section. Um, Allergic Weagle says, in short, Terrifier 3 is Terrifier 2, but more. More plot, more gore, more sadism, more torture, more humor, more art decline, more homages, and more madness. 4 out of 5. 115 Bryce said, could have used a little more gore. I don't know. 3.5 stars. I think that person's being sarcastic, I would say.
Mhm.
Um, LV says it's a bloody old good time, the perfect Christmas gift for the horror community. 5 stars. Look at that. And then Seth's reviews says an abominable voyeuristic extravaganza of little to offer other than to cause offense to the masses and increase the cult-like devotion it already has. 1.5 stars out of 5.
Hell yeah.
Apps.
Love
hell, hell yeah. It's like he didn't like it, but I agree with what he says there. Yeah, this makes
I'm
total
part of the
sense.
cult, so yeah, I agree.
There we go.
And
Um,
it worked. It worked.
and it worked. Exactly, it did. So yeah, this. How did you feel about? First of all, how did you feel about it being a Christmas movie? This one.
Absolutely loved, because I am a massive Grinch and I hate Christmas.
Oh
Do not
wow.
care for it at all. I don't like Christmas films. My idea of Christmas films are like Krampus and Silent Night, Deadly Night, and
Mm.
the ones that you can get horror in there as well. I can't be dealing with like Home Alone and Elf and stuff like that. It's I've seen them
I'm laughing.
too many times. You get forced to watch them every year by everyone you
Yeah.
know. Everyone has to pretend that, yeah. Oh, no, I just can't be dealing with it. So as soon as I found out that art was gonna be destroying Christmas, I was all in. All in for it.
He's absolutely destroying. There was that film Deadly Games, which was like Christmas Home Alone sort of horror, wasn't there? Years ago. Can't remember what year that
Yeah.
came out.
I
Um,
like, Better Watch Out. Have you seen
oh,
that?
Oh my God, better watch out. I have never hated a character more than that character in Better Watch Out.
But
I hated him
so,
so much. Little incel, little bastard.
yeah.
I hated him. And you know what? You know, sometimes when you hate a character and it generally affects your enjoyment of the film, like I'm like, I can't watch this anymore because I hate this kid. I want him to be real, just so I can beat him up. I wouldn't. I would never do that. But but
Yeah,
still.
I love
Um
that.
maybe it's worth rewatching that or revisiting it, you know. Um, yeah, we've done a few episodes on like thing on Christmas horror, some sort of like um tongue-in-cheek ones. We did Silent Night, Deadly Night one year. That was great. Um, yeah, I think it's the perfect time of year, really, isn't it? Where I don't really mind starting to think about things being festive. I'm not like the I'm not the kind of person who watches the same Christmas films every year. I don't mind Christmas films, but only like a few, you
Hmm.
know. I do like Home Alone because I kind of grew up with it, and I do like that might be it, you know. I kind of only got really got patience for Home Alone. Jingle All the Way, that's a good one. Apart from that, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I mean, how like the Hallmark Channel Christmas movies with everybody in the same pose.
The
I
thing
love
is, like,
Snow.
it's not that I think that they're bad films just before everyone comes and fucking cancels me. I don't think that like Home Alone and Elf and whatever, I don't think they're bad films. And I'm a
Mm,
sucker for a rom com. So yeah, I do
mm,
like The Holiday and Love Actually and stuff like that. It's just that they're like the same films that you sort of shove down your throat on every TV channel and by every single person ever, like
mm.
every year for all of your life pretty much.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah,
there's some films that I can watch over and over again, and there's some films that I just cannot.
yeah.
And I I'm just a Halloween person. Like if it was up to me, we'd all just watch horror films all day, every day. So Christmas just isn't really my
Absolutely.
thing.
I'm all over it. I agree. With watching horror films all day, every day. I know what you mean. It's a bit annoying since we've got to take a break from horror films for things like Christmas. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I reckon like
That's why
very
you
night.
find more and more Christmas horror films.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, obviously it was announced pretty early that this was going to be a Christmas film. I mean, so I'll just do a brief rundown of the film. So it's a 20 Terrifier 3 is a 2024 Christmas supernatural slasher film written and directed by Damien Leone, starring Lauren LaVera, Elliott Fullam, Margaret Anne Florence, Bryce Johnson, and David Howard Thornton. Don't forget him. On the days leading up to Christmas, the story follows Sienna Shaw. She attempts to rebuild her life, but at the same time, Art the Clown is pursuing her alongside his new accomplice, possessed Victoria Hayes. He loves an accomplice. This guy, doesn't he?
Mhm.
He's all
Yeah.
over it. An accomplice always like a former victim that is like embodied or is come back to life in some way? Because
I
I
think so. I
what was
think
going on
so.
with the little girl in was she supposed to be a former victim in Terrifier 2?
I feel like someone said this to me recently that she was, but then I'm like, I don't remember that ever actually being confirmed in the second film.
Where'd she bloody go as
So,
well? Did she get like what happened to
well,
her? Can't remember.
this is a question that we all had coming out of the new
Where's
one.
that little girl gone? Because she is
Where'd
terrifying.
she go?
She is terrifying. Like art is obviously scary, but you're kind of like your defenses go down a bit when he's like being silly and stuff before he starts hacking people apart. But that little girl and Victoria in a similar way, like every time she's on screen, you are just like, oh no, what's she gonna
No.
do? What's she gonna do with
Yeah.
that sliver of glass? Oh,
Oh,
okay, fair enough. Well,
yep.
you know, whatever gets you off.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Literally.
I'm not kink shaming here. I never would.
No.
Messy though. but, but yeah. So this is 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2, isn't it?
Mhm.
5 years later, and is it correct that Sienna's been like in that mental institution the whole time, or has she been in and out? I think she says in and out.
Yeah, I think it came across to me like it was just somewhere that she'd checked herself into,
Yeah,
like
sorry,
somewhere that she'd
mental
gone to
institution.
before.
Mental institution might have been a little bit harsh to say that. I think just sort of like a hospital,
It's
I
like a
guess.
wellness place,
Like a
wasn't it? Like a
wellness
wellness
center, yeah, something
centre
like
or
that.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't
something
get
like
the
that.
impression that she'd been like put in there though, or that she had to stay there. I think she
No.
just had
I'll tell
gone
you
there
what, I'm
for
absolutely fuming about though, Liz. Fuming about this.
Mhm.
She's not got a septum piercing anymore.
I know.
I love that. I was like, that's a
It's
lovely.
almost as if they're trying to say she's matured.
Yeah. I've gone, oh yeah, Lauren LaVera, lovely septum piercing. Where was it gone? Right, now you're in this wellness center. You have to start scrubbing up a little bit. Get rid of that. Yank it out.
That's so emo of you that you need it. Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Literally didn't even notice.
It's a missed opportunity, I think, because seeing Art rip that out of her nose would have been pretty brutal, wouldn't it?
Why
Or
didn't they
did he?
do that? That's such a good
Why didn't they
idea.
do that? I'll tell you what he did though. He slapped her in the back of the head multiple times. The
Literally my
disrespect.
favourite bit of the whole film. How bad is it that literally watching her get smacked around the back of the head, I'm not kidding you, I literally had tears rolling down my face. It was so it's because it's just so literally slapstick, just
Yeah.
so daft that it's
I,
just like it's
I've,
like
I've,
I don't know if you had this at school, but when I was at school, our teachers like used to whack like us around the back of the heads with a
oh my
ruler if we were
God,
like
no way.
talking. Not like in a really it sounds really bad now.
It probably
It
was
wasn't
bad.
in like an abusive way. It was just in a kind of like a how like your dad used to give you like a bit of a smack around the back of the head, like shut up or behave. I'm doing the movements here and realizing that nobody can
It was
see me. But,
playful. It was
it's like
playful. These
yeah, like
teachers were whacking these kids in such a lovely,
yeah,
playful manner.
it's like
But yeah, it is. It's
playful,
like
like shut up, behave sort of thing, and
yeah,
that's what
it's
he
like
does to her, and it's so funny.
the
Yeah,
disrespect, but also like she bested him. She's beaten him once. So it's
yeah,
almost like he must hate that, like deep
yeah.
down. If we were really to get to the nitty-gritty of what of art, and of course, well, I know we said we don't really want this. Well, you did. I'd love to think that like he is really pissed off that she bested him and he had to go and
Yeah.
essentially go and get a new body in a really annoying way. Hold someone else's severed head in the place of as well, which I imagine is really difficult, right?
It's all just so stupid, isn't it? I love it.
He's been bested by her and he's probably like well annoyed about it. Um which is believable, isn't it? I guess up until that point in the second film, we were officially convinced that he was just a serial killer, and it was
Mm,
only at this point, like there are obviously hints that there was something supernatural involved, but at this point when he stands up and he's got no head, is when we know that something mad's afoot. And I was talking to some people and they were saying, "Oh, it's a bit like Michael Myers," but I'm like, Michael Myers wasn't really supernatural ever until maybe Halloween ends when they sort of suggested that he'd been just recharging like a solar panel like a solar panel man in the probably the worst place to do it, but recharging just like in the sewer. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I know he keeps coming back, like he gets stabbed in the eyes, he gets shot, and he keeps coming back. I get that, but maybe until when that supernatural cult was that number 5 where they started thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
it does feel like
this is my
a new
point
idea.
about the law. Like it's the same with Michael Myers. Like for me, this is where it all sort of falls apart, and it's not falls apart, but it's less interesting. It's less scary. Like
Yeah.
Michael Myers, the fact that he could literally be like head chopped off, burnt alive, put in a bloody mincemeter or whatever, and still survive, but we don't know why, we don't know how, we don't know what it is. That's terrifying. Same with Art, like when he got his head chopped off at the end of the first one, or the end of the second one, or whenever it was. I think because he died in the first one as well, didn't he? And then came back to life and stuff. But
Mm.
again, like I don't care how he came back to life. It's
Mm.
just scary that he did because this
Yeah.
means that he's unkillable. So
Yeah.
then it kind of takes away, like when you get that final battle, you already know that like you're gonna have to do something really, really different for him
Yeah.
to die. Because even if you chop his head off, he'll come back anyway. So it kind of
What
takes
happened?
away that fear, doesn't it? I think.
Oh, he's come back from decapitation again. What happened with Michael Myers when he got his egg chopped off in like H2O? When it's supposed to be like, oh, he put the costume on someone else really quickly,
Yeah,
and then
something
they ended up chopping his head off, and it was just some other feller. That was it.
oh,
Got it.
so
Uh,
stupid.
So stupid. Yeah, yeah. Stupid, but yeah, I like the fact. This is the thing. I feel like these films are starting to be like, okay, the lore is becoming more and more important. We've almost
Mhm.
got like a good and an evil force. If the evil force exists, the good force has to also exist in to the same strength, and then that force is the only thing that can kill the evil. Um, which is
I
similar
do
to
like I do like that theory though explains why Sienna hasn't been killed yet, because I did think,
yeah,
like,
okay,
there's a second in this one where she's, like, obviously been knocked out and she wakes up and, you know, at any point she could have been killed, and there was a split second where I thought, "This is so unrealistic, like, why hasn't he killed her the same way that he kills everyone else?" But then I
yeah.
remembered that that's what they'd said, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, at least that makes sense."
He's just
Because
gonna
there's no
mangle
other
her
reason.
hands.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no other reason that she would have ever been left alive when everyone else that is encountered has been killed, like,
yeah.
almost instantly.
But again, it's almost like, is he trying to make an example of her because she beat him that one time? He's almost trying to inflict as much pain on her as he physically
Mhm.
can by murdering people she loves in front of her.
Yeah.
And again, we'll get into this, but how, Jonathan, like off screen, like does that feel fair? It can't be him, can it? It
I
can't
don't
be.
know.
There's
I'm
no
not convinced.
way. No.
Not convinced.
I'm not convinced. Okay, so in terms of where we start with this film, in the present, in present day, Art the Clown invades and brutally murders a family during Christmas. Now, there was something about this. I'm not the kind of person who gets particularly affected by some films. I get like, and I think I explained this last week actually. I get it gets under certain films get under my skin, and I get like the goosebumps and be like, ooh, like that. But for some reason, when this film started, and like it was a family and it was Christmas time, I did have this proper sense of dread where I was just
Mhm.
like, oh God. Like, what's going to happen? What am I going to be subjected to? Even though, like, I knew, I've seen the first two, I know what kind of things happen, but I was still like, I had this sense of dread that I don't really get in any other films, or I haven't had in a film for a while. So it shows that there is something very effective about A, the marketing, the hype, the cult following that these films have, even if they're not like, as I mentioned, they're not my favorite things in the world, but clearly something's working if it makes
Mhm.
me, a seasoned horror fan, still still feel like, oh no, what's going to
Yeah.
happen? Um,
I think it's because as well though, in the first 2, even if you're not someone who and there's no way to say this, but even if you're not someone who particularly cares about, like, it being kids, the
mm,
difference is the first 2, it's kinda like the first one, you've got, like, the blonde, annoying teenage girl, and, like, so you kind of don't care all that much when she dies. The other one's just a teenage girl who's just running around, you don't really get much of character from her or anything. And then the
mm,
second one, you've got Sienna and you root for her, but again, it's adults and it's her family. It's not the main character that's being killed. So
mm.
again, you're all right. Her annoying friends who drug her and
Yeah,
blokes who are a bit, arseholes and stuff. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, that's fine. But I think with this one, because it does open with a seemingly completely innocent family, and you've just
yeah,
had this nice moment where she's like tucking her daughter in bed and telling her, oh, the noise on the roof will just be Santa's elves getting ready for Christmas and stuff. Even me, who has no like real, overly warm feelings towards children or Christmas, I agree. Even I was a bit like, oh God, I know what's coming and it's not going to be good.
yeah. Because it does like even though you're watching a slasher film, like a splatter film, essentially.
Mhm.
It does feel like, oh, it's just unnecessary, and it let these people live. You know, when you kind of like, when you watch a film and you've seen the film loads of times and you know something bad's happening, but you start to like bargain with yourself. You start to go like, if they just do this, or don't answer that
Yeah.
phone, or don't go in that room. If they just do that, then it won't happen. But then it all plays out like it always has, and you just go, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Because, films wouldn't be entertaining if someone just went, oh, Art the Clown, I'll just lock the front door. It would not let him in. He'd find a way in. Um, I think this was effective. I think what was effective here was sound design because I feel like
Mhm.
when Art was hacking up the dad of the family next to the sleeping mum, The sound design was like, oh, unbelievable. Just every single swing of that axe was just so heavy and sharp, and you could just feel it
Welch.
squelchy. And then when she woke up and he was there, oh my God. So in terms of like killing kids, we've got like a girl who like says she hears something on the roof. She's telling her mum, and then she goes downstairs. Oh my God, it's Santa. We know it's not. It's Art. Gets an axe out. Then he goes upstairs and kills her older brother, but again off screen. So he's yes, still a kid, a little bit older, kills off screen, and that is the setup for like a pretty brutal reveal a little bit later when the mum runs in and it's literally just like his butchered body, headless, all of the arms and legs chopped off. Wow, you know what?
Yeah.
How dare you are? Who do you think you are?
It's funny, isn't it? Because people are going sort of, you've got two sides of the coin where people are going like, this film's disgusting, it kills kids, and this is inappropriate, and blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the other side of the coin where people are kind of like, oh, yeah, but you don't see anything, and like it all happens off screen and stuff.
Mm,
But it's almost like people block out that moment where you actually do see like the chopped up
yeah,
child on the bed and stuff. And it's pretty grim. It's pretty grim. It does make
it
you
is
sort of
pretty
go,
grim.
oh God.
We
Because you
are
feel
kind
like
of
you're
like,
safe when he does it off screen.
mm,
And then
I
it's
feel
like, nope.
nope. I mean, horror fans must be desensitized to it in a way because it is almost like, well, we've kind of seen everything, you know. We've seen a Serbian film. We've seen tons and tons of 80s like splatter movies and ridiculously. We've seen extreme horror.
Mhm.
We've seen lots. I've not seen it all. There's probably still things that would shock me, but we are kind of a bit desensitized to it because we know it's not real. And then you've got the other type of person who might be like someone who's a bit of a mainstream movie enjoyer, and then they'll see something like that and it will be like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. But also, we need to remember films like this have been around for years. These type of films were getting banned all over the world in the 80s and beyond. And you know, it's not a brand new thing. And there are, in a way, it's almost like, well, the news will show you. Um, Again, this is pretty horrible to say, but the news will just show you dead kids. Sometimes
Mhm.
completely unprompted. They might
Yeah.
give you a warning sometimes, but they will show you that, and it's almost like that real life horror is so much worse than something like this, which you know isn't real. So it's like
Agreed.
I could watch this all day long and never
Mhm.
really be affected, or might be like intrigued. How'd they do that then? That,
Yeah.
that person's head being that person's skin being ripped off his entire face, and it looks like he's still screaming. How'd they done that? His eyes are moving. Mad. But yeah, the real life horror, in a way, is like that's so much worse. You can't, and we are way past the point of saying things like this extreme horror, extreme gore is causing people to go out and do it for real. We're way past that. There's no
Yeah.
way. Like video games, video nasties, we're way past the point of that ever being a legit argument. You know, the probably the kindest, most gentle souls in the world are witnessing witnessing the worst levels of gore ever. So
Completely. Completely agree.
I can understand why it's controversial, and I kind of like I'll nod along when people say it, but then I will also say this ain't brand new. This is you
It's
know we're
also
all
mad because most of the people that I know that wouldn't watch this, even including like my own mom, my mom likes horror, but she likes the classics. She likes Poltergeist and
yeah
supernatural sort of things. She won't watch anything that's like she would never watch a Saw film or anything where it's like gratuitous violence. But this woman will watch every single true crime documentary known to man the
yeah
minute it drops on Netflix. She's
yeah
got Discovery just so she can watch true crime
yeah
documentaries. She'll listen to true crime podcasts. She'll watch films about true crime. She will listen to hours and hours of stories of children being chopped up in their own homes and buried in the garden and blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. But God forbid she watches something like this where there's a bunch of fake kids being fake chopped up
Mm.
and fake blood and fake prosthetics and things like that. She'd be mortified and she would tell me that I was fucking weird for watching this if she ever watched.
Yeah, I feel like
I
my
don't get it. Like, what? Surely that's worse. Like this, I know for a fact is all fake. I've watched interviews with David Howard Thornton where he's just this really sweet
nicest
middle-aged
guy.
man,
Yeah.
like chatting with the kids on set and
Well,
stuff.
there's so many pictures of him with the kids, including the
Yeah,
kids in this particular scene.
yeah. I can remove that. Like, I can remove
Mm,
the what's on screen to
yeah,
like what's real. Whereas when you're listening to true crime or watching true crime, which I do also love, by the way, but how can you think that that is better than and like
yeah,
more acceptable than watching this? It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
yeah. I think the stigma surrounding it always shocks me when it comes back up, whether it's Terrifier or whether it's any other horror film of the last however many years. It always surprises me when the stigma comes back up, where I just go, people vomiting in the aisles and stuff, where you say, you must have seen the first two. Why are you being? I'll understand it if it goes, this person vomited because he had a massive great Burger King before he went in and a big old milkshake, and then he was sick because had a dicky tummy. But you can't be watching this and like genuinely feeling sick if you've seen the first. Like you must have seen the first, so you must know what you're getting yourself in for. You're not watching The Sound of Music and then
No.
going, what's on next? Terrifier 3. Let's go in and see what it is.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
happening.
that's the thing, like, I could understand because it made me think when I went to the, like, gala screening for it, I did wonder, like, is there anyone in the audience that will be there just because, they're press and they've been paid to go and
Yeah.
cover the film
Okay.
for
That's a good
somebody?
point. That's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, apparently there were people that were walking out. I don't know. I was quite near the front, so I wasn't really paying much attention. But
Mm.
the only thing that I kind of thought maybe I could understand why it might make them feel a bit queasy and stuff is because, especially with the shower scene, it's
Mm.
so loud and so like overwhelming that not as in that I felt sick or bothered by it or anything, but I did think if you are more of a sensitive person
Mm.
and you're not quite, maybe you are going in a bit more blind than you should have. I
Mm.
can imagine that scene in particular being quite like overstimulating, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
like maybe someone just being a bit like, this is a bit much. I'm gonna have a little break.
I often think someone pressed, but in screeners like that, I think a family member of like someone who did the music, for example. Oh,
Yeah,
do you
like a
want to?
plus one.
I did the music for this. Do you want to come and watch it? It's a bit gory, mind. And they're like, oh, that's fine. I've seen some gory films. I've seen this, and then they watch it like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah. And I think like obviously the sick bags and stuff, they lean into that with the marketing, so that's good. That's a positive in a way. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'd be shaking my head of disappointment if I saw someone passing out in the aisle. I'd go,
Yeah.
come on. Unless it went, I hadn't eaten anything since midday. I'm passing out. My sugar levels. Uh, okay, so obviously Art kills the mum in pretty nasty circumstance. What, did he chop her head off eventually? He like axes her in the back.
He chops her arm
Chops her
off,
arm
doesn't he?
off.
And then
That's right.
axes her in the head.
Axes her in the head, and then do you know what? The things that make me feel upset, and this is what makes me feel upset with films like this, isn't oh no, that little girl's gonna die. I hate the thought of like her, like maybe seeing her mum and dad dead. Like that's just, and
Mhm.
there is a moment with Gabby later on where she sees her mum and is almost like trying to see if she wake up when her mum's
Oh,
clearly
yeah.
been rat gulleted to death. Um,
I think that's the thing with the second one and why the bedroom scene is so horrible because it's like it's a mum that walks in, isn't
walks
it?
in,
The
yeah.
young girl's mum.
I
And I
can't
do
even,
remember the
yeah.
first time I watched it thinking to myself, oh my God, imagine being a mom and seeing your daughter like that.
I think
But
you
I
just
think,
you couldn't comprehend it. I don't think because you'd just be like,
mm, yeah,
sorry,
but I
sorry, go on.
think that's why you have to, with these films in particular, you have to just like go with how ridiculous it is. Try not to think too much about what you would actually feel like in that situation. Because
Yeah,
if you do, it could be really fucking depressing, especially in
yeah,
this one, like you say. By the end
yeah.
of this one, poor Sienna, I just,
Oh my
yeah,
God, yeah.
I
if she's
wonder at
been
the end of this one, what has she actually got to live for? Like, why would you carry on?
exactly
I would
what's
just
next?
myself at that point.
Because what's next for her? She's been in and out of hospital for 5 years dealing with this, and now she's literally lost. I mean, she lost a lot of people that time, but now she's lost everyone essentially,
Mhm.
and gone through the same sort of trauma.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I'd just be
Unless she
throwing
just
myself
goes,
out the window, to be
unless she
honest.
just goes full circle and turns into some like vengeance machine, and just like, right, that's it.
Maybe she'll become
Art the
art
clown.
accomplice.
See, I've heard this. I've heard this discussed. I heard that
Ooh.
discussed. I also heard, what if Jonathan becomes Art's
Oh, I
accomplice?
hope so. I hope so. That's what I hope for the fourth one.
Yeah, but I want him to still be alive. Well, I guess he would kind of be alive. Okay, so obviously then after killing, he does open a little cupboard with the little girl hiding inside, and then the rest of what happens is left to our imagination. He just lets her
Mm.
go, I reckon. Uh, maybe. Um, then we like smash forwards to, sorry, smash, go back 5 years prior to the final events of Terrifier 2 when he was after he was decapitated by Sienna. His headless body was there, and a police officer comes in. Art's headless body gets up, kills him, and then, I mean, uses his head as like a replacement so he can go on so he can go on the tube. Is that it, or go on the go on the subway? Sorry,
Yeah.
you're right, man, covered in blood. Uh, man covered in blood, holding your head. You okay?
It sounds so stupid.
Yeah, it does.
So the decapitated body kills the policeman, takes his head as a replacement head, gets on the tube.
How many times are people are
Uh,
is Art on public transport and people are just supposed to think he's just a normal bloke covered in blood, horrible face, someone else's severed head, a disfigured Victoria.
it
You know
is New
what?
York, though.
Yeah. What are people just thinking? Great costume. They must be.
I
There's,
think
oh
so.
yeah. I did enjoy how they wrote into the script the fact he gets a lovely, nice, clean costume.
Yeah.
Because obviously, is it in the second one where he goes to like a laundromat?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's right. Again, it's weird. It's kind of
He's a
weird
clean
see
boy. He's a very
what
clean boy. Do you notice he washed his dishes up at the house as well when he had his cookies and milk?
yeah, and he washed his hands after he had a little whittle.
Yeah, he's a
Bless
clean
him.
boy.
Bless him. Okay, so his headless body goes to the asylum where Victoria Hayes is. This was like the end of Terrifier 2, wasn't it? Um, so apparently Victoria Hayes, now possessed by the little pale girl, has just given birth to his head. So, are we thinking that his vessel is the little pale girl and she's possessed Victoria Hayes? Victoria Hayes is now the new vessel,
Mhm.
which allows him to regenerate, and now he's given birth to his head. Only
Mhm.
needs to give birth to his head, apparently, because his body's fine. His, his body's fine. Obviously, they
Sure.
sure they kill that nurse. Bit of cannibalism going on here. They're both like chowing down on the
Oh,
nurse.
ugh. Yeah.
And then WWE's own Chris Jericho, as a security guard, comes comes over to investigate what's going on, and he gets his jaw ripped off. I think he just
Yeah.
gets his head squeezed, then his jaw ripped off. You know, it's not a good time for him. And then they both go to an abandoned. Have we seen this abandoned house before? Is this a place, or is this just somewhere that they've decided to?
I think this is so Damien Leone said that he wanted to get as many like nods to Christmas horror films in it.
Hmm,
I think this is like the big Black
Black
Christmas nod
Christmas, yeah,
with the
with the
rocking
rocking
chair
horse,
and
yeah,
yeah,
rocking horse, rocking chair,
rocking
yeah.
chair.
Sorry, I did think that that did cross my mind. So yeah, this obviously the Victoria goes to like the bathroom, gets in the tub. First of all,
Oh,
so first of all, she's like looking in the mirror, and what she say? Used to be so hot, Victoria.
yeah.
Now you look hanging. And then
Hanging. Imagine if
now
she said hanging.
you look absolutely minging. You look absolutely hanging. Look at the state here. Smashes the glass to bits. Gets in the tub with a glass shard. Slices her wrists, and then I want to say die, but like hibernate. It goes into
Yeah, it's
some
like they're
weird.
both yeah.
They
Both go into
both go into weird
hibernation.
hibernation. Similar to what? Like, who goes into hibernation? I mean, Pennywise goes away every 27 years. Well,
Mm.
this is only 5 years.
Jeepers
Um,
Creepers.
oh yeah,
Creeper.
well, Jeepers Creepers. He goes away. How many years is that? Something like
20. Is it 25? Something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Or
Yeah.
23? I don't know.
And then Art goes and sits down in the rocking chair, and they both essentially become dormant. In this instance, I thought, oh, Victoria's dead now. That's what I thought, and Art
Yeah,
was
I'm
gonna,
there.
yeah. Um, okay, and then we go to the present. This is weird, isn't it? Because after spending so much time with Art, I find it really jarring when we just suddenly go to human scenes and like there's some lovely like synth wave playing. I think Dream Kid did some music on this film. It is jarring. It's not bad
Yeah.
in a way. Like I do enjoy those quieter moments. Um, and yes, Sienna's getting out of the hospital. So Uncle Greg. Have we seen Uncle Greg before in these films?
No.
These brand new characters. All of these
Yeah.
people are brand new, including
Yeah.
Gabby.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's going to stay with Jess and her husband Greg and their daughter Gabby, who idolizes Sienna, and she has no knowledge of the events. What do you idolize her for then? She's totally normal.
Yeah.
She hasn't even got a septum pierced anymore. She's just normal.
I find that
Idolizes
whole
her.
thing a bit odd. I find the Gabby thing a bit odd that it's kind of like we're meant to have known
Hmm.
that they've got this really close relationship, even though
Yeah.
we haven't seen any of it or she wasn't mentioned in the second one. But
Yeah, but it's almost
whatever.
like because she's apart from Jonathan, she's there's no one else, and it's almost like
Yeah.
they need to like shoehorn in some other people she cares about so that they can
Yeah.
then kill them. I
Yeah,
think what this
pretty
film
much.
does pretty well at exploring survivor's guilt. I feel like that
Mhm.
comes across quite well with Sienna and Jonathan because
Yeah.
Jonathan's just like, right, I'm going and just basically starting a new life. Obviously, he's just going to college or whatever, but he's thrown himself into that, whereas Sienna obviously has struggled a lot more,
Mhm.
and she's just trying to rebuild things in that way, and she's obviously having hallucinations,
Yeah.
um, mainly of Beth. Is it Beth? No, Brooke. Brooke is her friend. Um, yeah, so she's having those hallucinations at the dinner table. Those are pretty effective, aren't they? Some lovely
Mhm.
gore effects that aren't art kills. Just um, and one key plot point, Liz, is that starts reading her diary, and she goes, "Hey, don't read any more of that. That's private. That's my private journal. Don't you ever read it, ever, because I've detailed everything that happened, all the horrible things Art did. So don't read it. It's horrible." And Gabby just nods, yes, yes, of course. No, I won't. Um, so she's kind of struggling to reconnect with Jonathan. She like calls him and says, "I'm out now. We should meet up soon." And he's just like, "Suppose." He's just like, "Well, I've got a lot of things on."
I think he wants to just, like you say, I think he's probably wary of being dragged back into it all, isn't he? He just wants to get on with his life and keep to himself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's his way of coping, which is kind of annoying because he was the one who was obsessed with art in Terrifier 2. You've
Yeah.
caused all this, Jonathan. You can't just
Yeah.
walk away from it now. Um, yeah, and then the way that Art and Victoria get awoken in present day is to like who are these? Are these? Oh yeah, they're going to demolish the house, aren't they? These two workers, and they're
Mm.
doing like some sort of some final checks, I guess, or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
did you recognize one of them?
Yes. It
You
was
did.
Matey from Scary Movie.
Yes, it was. Someone pointed that out to me. I didn't notice it immediately. Um,
Yeah.
nice little cameo from him. So yeah, they're both looking around, and oh, I kept thinking in this moment, who would I rather which of the
Yeah.
two would I rather be? I think at least if we get stabbed in the neck is over with fairly quickly, but
Yeah.
Victoria's terrifying, like real scary.
It's wild to me that he walks into this bathroom, sees this like creature in the
Yeah,
sludge, and instead of like screaming and immediately running out of the house, he gets his phone out to try and like take a picture, because
Yeah.
I would just run. I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's not my job. I don't get paid enough for this. Like, I'm out.
Exactly. Immediately out, run away. But no, they're both like
Same
calling each
would go
other.
with art, to be honest, because as soon as I saw the back of art, I'd be like, that's creepy as fuck. I'm out. Someone else can check.
I would never do this in his face because you just know, even
Oh,
though he's got like
no.
cobweb, even though he's got like cobwebs on his face, you
Oh,
know
that's
that.
such a good image though, isn't it? Of him just like sat there when you realise that he's just been sat there all that time and he's got spider webs on him and he's just staring into the distance.
Mm,
I think that's like genuinely scary.
yeah, 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 definitely. And what are we supposed to think? What would it? Were they naturally going to wake up at this point, or did it take someone else being there to like whir them back to life, essentially?
I'm not sure. I got the impression that it took someone to lure them back to life. But then also because it was specifically like a 5-year mark,
Mm.
I don't know, maybe because it was Halloween, wasn't it, I think? Again, are we back at Halloween now or oh, no, we're still
Yeah.
Christmas. Hmm,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But yeah, he wakes up and while Art is like slinging him around the room, this guy, Victoria walks in with her. I was like, she's been holding that shard of glass in her hand for for 5 years. Oh, also, she was in like a horrible bath of slop.
Yeah.
I guess it's like bodily fluids and some other crap,
I don't know, it just looked like green sludge.
green sludge, and obviously
But it
because she's
smelled great.
yeah, because she's not a because she's not been able to attend to herself in 5 years. She's immediately on it with the shard of glass. And like, is this the first instance of like some sort of like a sexual nature thing happening in Terrifying? Because even like Art at one point when two characters are talking about, one says you want, it sounds like you want to screw Art. He sort of
Mm.
goes, and she goes no, and he sort of goes like, it's the first instance where I feel like these characters seem like they've got sexual desires, no
Yeah,
matter how twisted they are.
I think and this was the part of the film where I don't dislike it. Like I think it's an entertaining moment and it's gross and it has the desired effect. But
Hmm.
this was the moment where I thought, oh no, is it gonna take everything down that route and is Art gonna start getting like sexually violent and Victoria
Mm,
being sexually violent and stuff? And I think that is probably the one thing that would have probably just ruined the whole film for me because I like the fact that Art isn't like that and doesn't
no,
have
he's
those
like an
kind of desires. Because even when he does see like the couple later on like having sex and like you say talking about sex, even then when he's reacting to it, it's not like he's having like a pervy moment watching.
mm,
It's almost like he's amused by the conversation and then a little bit
yeah,
like almost like a little bit embarrassed that they've talked about him and like bashful and stuff. And I'm really glad that it went that way rather than just
mm,
getting gross and pervy because I just don't think that that's what the character is. I
yeah,
don't think the
no, no,
character has any human desires.
no, an asexual. Yeah, his desires. He's just a killing freight train, isn't he? Really, just like kill anyone and everyone for no real reason other than to like amuse
For a laugh.
himself and for
Yeah.
a laugh, pretty much. I used
Yeah.
to think, oh, is he getting more powerful by the more people he kills? I know that's a
Mm,
bit of a slasher trope as well, but
mm.
I don't even think it's that, is it?
No, I genuinely just think he just enjoys it. I
He
think he's
just enjoys
amusing
it, yeah.
himself and having a nice time.
Yeah. So Victoria starts working on a costume at this point. I wasn't sure what she was doing initially, but yeah, she's working on a lovely costume. Um, and Art goes off with his black bin bag full of crap, full of crap. If it is full of crap, it's always. I'm like, I would never put my hand in there ever
No,
in that bag.
absolutely not.
Jesus. Um, and he's walking past a bar and he looks in and there's a guy in there who's like a Santa Claus impersonator. There's a couple of other fellas in there. There's two women like sat on his lap at one point and then they leave and but Art's got absolutely no interest in them. He just like pushes them out of the way, doesn't he? Get out of the fucking way. Get out of the fucking way. I'm on my way to Santa. And yeah, he goes up to Santa and shows sort of like I want to say he shows fake interest initially, but I don't. I think he generally is interested. He generally is
Oh,
fascinated that there's a
I
Santa.
think I think he's genuinely excited to see Santa, and I
Mm,
think this is probably, aside from like the slaps at the back of Sienna's head at the end, which is just like a small part of the scene, this is my favourite scene of the whole film.
mm.
Because David Howard Thornton's face, his facial expressions are just so funny. The way he's like really gleeful and excited to see Santa, and he's like looking at his beard and looking at his hat and being all like, and he even sits on his lap and he's like, it genuinely looks like a little kid like being really excited. But then every time like the barman says something about Art being like weird or like who is this freak or whatever,
Mm.
he can go from like smiling to this like absolutely terrifying frown in like one
Yeah.
movement. And it's just so good. I love
Has
this whole scene, crying with laughter, and then like, oh
yeah
god, oh no.
yanking on the beard and like realizing it was real as well.
Yeah.
Um, Art, how often does he use a gun? Is this like
He uses one in the second one.
he has? So he does. I feel like when he
In
uses a
fact,
gun, he doesn't enjoy it. He enjoys hacking people up, but he does. But when he uses the gun, it's almost like, oh God, I just need to kill someone quickly so I can so the real fun can start. Almost like he wanted to shoot those two guys so he could just have fun torturing the Santa Claus man. Because
yeah,
his
I think
face
that's
when he
right.
shoots people, he goes like proper serious, doesn't he? And he never does that when he's chopping people up.
No, and I think you're right, and I think that kind of brings back a bit of, I don't think obviously he isn't human, but I think that brings back a little bit of humanity where it's kind of like, well, no matter who I am and how strong I am and how violent I am, it's still four against one unless I
Mm.
get rid of a couple of them quite
Yeah,
quickly.
because I do think that, and I know obviously, yes, he is a serial killer. He's superhuman, but he's still like quite. He's a skinny little guy, and but
Yeah.
then I guess he has got superhuman strength to a degree, hasn't he? He must have
Yeah.
superhuman
I don't
strength
know.
or just psycho strength.
Mm,
Maybe psycho
I'm not
strength.
sure.
Yeah,
I think he does. I'm sure he uses a gun in the first one as well, though. I'm sure he shoots
I think
one of
there's
the
a
girls
moment.
at one point. I
There's a
can't
moment
remember.
in All Hallows Eve where he uses a gun. Um,
They all sort of blend into one at this point, to be
yeah,
honest.
because it's just one big killing spree, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Art also developed like a what's it called? Freezy thing. What's that stuff called? The
Nitrous. Is
That's
it
it.
nitrous?
Not carbon monoxide. Why can't I
I don't
think of what
know.
that's called? Oh God, this is
Whatever
what
Mr.
happens when
Freeze uses in
well,
Batman.
he got a freeze ray, right? He got a bloody
Right,
freeze ray.
sure.
Um, carbon Why can't I remember? Jesus. Um,
Nitrous something. Nitrous
yeah,
oxide.
he freeze dries his leg. Freeze dries his leg like you would anything else. Um, and yeah, so him torturing Santa is pretty good. Because he's
Mhm.
using his new toy on him, and he's clearly experimenting in a little way, isn't he? So we see him earlier freeze dry a rat and then
Yeah.
like smash it to bits in front of his mates,
Oh
and then
no.
sling the
Poor
rat over to him, and they're just like, "Whoa." um, but yeah, he does it to Santa's hands, Santa's feet, Santa's shins at one point, and that must hurt.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then his face eventually. And again, this is a good effect because his eyes still moving when all of his face has been like smashed off. Pretty cool. And then he rips off the actual piece of skin, which is like a beard. Nice,
And
lovely.
sticks a
And then
carrot in his face.
sticks a carrot in his nose. I mean, he's just having a laugh. He's just such a creative killer. Um,
It's so funny.
and he takes the Santa outfit and goes to like a local shopping mall. Around about this time, around about this time, Sienna is like she goes shopping with Gabby, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Um, and they're just going shopping for clothes. Do you think Jonathan will like this jacket? Stuff like that. And that is when she thinks she sees Art, but he's found like a sort of Santa mask as well. So I
Mhm.
think even Art knows I can't just walk into this shopping mall looking like I do. So I better get a mask on. Um, he gets the mask, and you could just tell from his demeanor that it's him, can't you? Sienna obviously, she quite rightly freaks out and just goes home. I think she just goes home. And this is when Art does the thing where he goes and sits on Santa's chair, impersonates Santa. There, I don't get. Little kids ain't gonna look at him and go, "Oh, Santa, there he is! Run over and say hello to him." All of them are gonna
No
go,
way.
"What on earth is that?"
I
See, with
know.
his
I did think that the kids that are in my life would take one look at him and run screaming.
exactly, you would, you would.
But
The adults in my life would take one look at him and run screaming.
yeah,
And then someone goes, "Oh, Santa's giving out presents," and this is quite good because we get the security guard and the like elf dude who are like, "Who's this guy? Who's this
yeah,
guy? This
that's not
isn't
our
Santa."
Santa.
Yeah, security goes to kick him out, but I mean, I thought maybe something like this was going to happen when they're all going in the bag. Um,
But again, did you notice that he's not actually doing anything to hurt any of them at that point? He's gleefully giving out presents. But did you notice that the toys that he's giving out are the toys from the house at the beginning?
oh no, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
He's
Oh,
basically took the dolls and stuff from the little girl at the beginning and give them out
he's
to the
he's
thing.
redistributing wealth.
Yeah,
He's like Robin Hood,
Robin
if
Hood.
anything.
Oh, our hero.
Until until a bloody bomb goes off. And again, this is like I was thinking if anything was going to be controversial, and like if you can imagine something being banned, I feel like this is more controversial than anything else in the
Yeah.
film because it's
A
almost
bomb in
like
a shopping mall killing kids
a
is
bomb in a
quite
shopping mall killing kids. Yeah, exactly.
quite prevalent as well, really, considering the state of the world at the moment. Like,
Yeah, he can now add terrorism to his list of crimes. Um, yeah. So obviously Sienna goes and tells her family, goes and tells her uncle and auntie, and says, "I saw Art at the mall. It's definitely him." And they obviously go, "Oh no, oh no, she's seeing things. We knew she wouldn't have had her stay here." So immediately disbelieving her. And there's always someone like that in films like
so
this, isn't there?
annoying.
So annoying. Meanwhile, Jonathan at his university, there's like this girl who's like a true crime podcast host who's like obsessed with him. Oh my God, I can't believe it's you. You survived. We want you on the podcast. Um, and his friend, who's how can you describe his friend? Not really a douchebag, sort of like a surfer dude type.
Yeah, seems quite nice, really. He kind of looks
Seems
out
like
for
a nice
Jonathan,
enough
doesn't
guy.
he? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and even like the podcast girl, she's not like awful. She's not like an awful person. She might be a bit full on, especially when she meets
she's
Sienna.
just a bit obnoxious, I think, and a bit like una what's the word? Like, just a bit unaware of like what she's actually talking about.
Mm.
I think she thinks it's all very like
A bit
she
like
almost looks
me.
at Sienna and Jonathan like they're celebrities, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, actually, they're actually just normal people who
Yeah.
were attacked.
She's copying me though, where anyone she meets, she goes, "We want you as a guest on the podcast," and I go, "That's my method of getting guests on the podcast."
She
Excuse me,
copied me
nice to
because
meet you.
she
Do you want
called,
to?
yeah, she called her as soon as she called herself a true crime enthusiast. I was like, oh god, no, that's literally my Instagram bio. I was like, I'm gonna have to delete. I'm gonna have to delete. If
Did
that's
you
what I sound like, I'm out.
did you delete it?
I've changed it. Yeah, I think. Have I? I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh no, I think I did. It was at one. It was horror and true crime enthusiast.
So
I
cliche.
changed it. I changed it. I changed it.
No, I'd lean into that. Everyone loves those things. Come
No,
on.
I don't
She's
want to be her because look how it backfired.
Well, it really did backfire. Um, so she her name's Mia. So it's like the Miles County Massacre, which is everything that happened in Terrifier 1 and 2, I guess, isn't it? Um, Sienna does like go to his university. I mean, I feel like that's a little bit later, but it's next in the sort of Wikipedia plot summary. She goes there pretty much just to tell him. And what I like about this is that Jonathan does believe her essentially. There's even a moment where he writes out a text like he's going to text his auntie, and he deletes it. He's going to
Yeah.
text. Sienna was just here. She's she's bloody doolally. She's doolally here. She's licking windows and stuff. Not doing that. But he doesn't. He still believes her. And again, this is where some of the I know there's a lot of talk about like religious imagery and biblical stuff in Terrifier. If you did notice when they were talking about things, they did go into like a little church, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about the potential biblical nature? Obviously, we get a crown of thorns later on. There's something angelic in a way about Sienna at the end of Terrifier 2.
Mm,
Good and evil.
I kind of I don't love it. And the only reason that I don't love it is because in horror in general, like anything to do with like possession, where everything comes down to like God versus evil, is just
Mm,
not my fave at all. Like I really don't enjoy it. And I think from the second film in particular, when there's so much stuff about her being this like warrior and it being like fantasy and her dad creating
mm,
these like superheroes, I was hoping that it would go more down that fantasy sort of route where it was
mm.
gonna I would rather it be literally ridiculous and be like Dungeons and Dragons style, like
Yeah.
fantasy lore than just a case of like, oh, it's a demon from hell possessed,
Mm.
and now we need to get an exorcist in
Yeah.
or something like that. But did you notice that the university was called Knights and it had like a sword as the logo?
Okay. No, I don't think I noticed that.
I'm wondering if they are going to somehow take it down the fantasy sort of route in the
Yeah,
fourth
I
one.
think I
But
probably prefer that. I didn't mind that stuff in Terrifier 2. This time around, how awful did the sword look terrible in this film? It looked like a little plastic,
yeah,
crappy old, like it's something you get from like a toy shop, essentially. Like
yeah,
I want what I wanted. I thought if you're gonna go as far as to say that there's this magic sword which can kill art, I want it glowing or on fire
yeah,
or something
yeah,
in or golden or something nuts. I feel like if you just got a sword, any old sword, it doesn't even look that big and it doesn't even look that big and impressive, does it? It kind of just looks a bit naff.
no,
I feel like just lean heavily into it, and obviously her outfit in
yeah,
Terrifier 2 was leaning heavily into it, and I feel like a lot of that stuff was kind of just forgotten this time around, even to the
yeah,
point where this is a trilogy, you know, this is the third film in a trilogy. This is Art versus Sienna, the final showdown essentially, and it kind of just all plays out just in the living room. And I thought,
yeah,
I don't know, could it have gone bigger? I know we were in like an abandoned asylum in the first one, and in the second one, essentially, we were in some abandoned place as well. So, if you want to carry that on, maybe in the abandoned house where they were is where the finale needs to happen. The fact that it just happens in someone's living room, and I wasn't entirely against hell opening up literally in that living room. I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't know. I feel like Terrifier 2 definitely did go big, but I feel like Terrifier 3 needs to either carry that on
yeah.
or go bigger. And I feel like it did neither of those things. It felt like it almost felt like it went back to its roots a bit with the first film where it was just like happening in corridors and stuff.
Yeah,
So
it felt a bit flatter, didn't it? I think the plot bits, they felt a bit like, oh, okay,
mm,
like we're just sort of going through the motions and now we're being told a bit of a story. And then the
yeah.
ending for me, like you say, just felt really rushed. I know that a
Mm,
few people that have watched it have said the same, that they thought when Sienna goes downstairs and Art and Victoria are there, they thought that it was going to be like she was dreaming because it seemed too
mm,
soon to have them
yeah.
in the house.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
completely agree with that. And I was kind of like, oh
Mm,
wait, so does that mean we're getting to the finale now? And I don't know
yeah.
if it's because the director did say when he did the Q&A thing that there was probably about another hour or more worth of like scenes and stuff that are on the cutting room floor because he
Mm,
listened to fans and a lot of fans said that the second one was too long. So I do
okay.
feel like he cut stuff out to try and get it down to 2 hours, and that's maybe why some of it doesn't quite flow as well as it did in
Yeah.
the second one, or why it
Bec-
felt a bit more rushed.
Because also, when Sienna says, I have to return to the Terrifier, like that sounds great. I want to see her there. I want to see her go back. I want to see her
Yeah,
literally finding the sword, taking it out, lifting it up, realizing what
yeah,
she's got to do. But again, that just happens off screen as well. Like, oh, it's just
yeah,
I've wrapped it up as a present for some reason as well. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I never truly felt that this was a plan, that she was setting up this, almost like she should have set up like some sort of trap for Art, like something like that. I don't know. Maybe like
yeah,
she's gone far enough that she doesn't mind putting Gabby in the way of in sort of the line of danger, just so she can get to Art essentially. I like it when
yeah,
films do that, when they kind of take, we've seen Laurie Strode in Halloween 2018 when she's like so prepared for Michael Myers to return that she's got all these traps in her house and she's gonna blow his head off with a shotgun. Um,
yeah. Okay.
I like that, and I feel like that is also a good way of reframing Sienna's trauma and going, okay, we've had her for most of this film being a victim of this trauma, seeing things again, but we can't let her be a victim again
Hmm.
because then what, the character's just a punching bag. We need her to like it isn't even just a case of fighting back. It's a case of being one step ahead of Art when it seems like you can never be, but somehow doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, it did feel very much like she was just a punching bag for this one. But this is why I'm holding out hope that the fourth one is going to deliver like all these things that we want,
Mm,
or something that, will please us. But we'll
yeah.
see.
And then of course, we get Art turning up at the university. Um, And again, he's opening the door for some for some guys coming in with their kegs. After you, no, after you. Like again, you wouldn't just go, "Cheers, mate." You go, "What on earth is going on? Who is this guy?" Terrifying,
Yeah.
literally. Um, and of course, at this point, Mia is kind of she's you. So what's the name of the guy? Cole. Cole. So she's
Mhm.
like going, "Oh, Cole, can you talk to Jonathan and try and get him as a guest on my podcast? I'll have sex with you in the shower." And he goes, "I'm well up for that." Communal shower as well.
Oh
Jesus.
no.
Uh,
Brave.
First of all, immediate danger of athlete's foot in there, in there. Let alone being naked in that scenario. Who knows what could happen? But it
Yeah.
isn't. It isn't an STD or any other sort of viral infection. It's Art with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And this scene has obviously been discussed a lot. And we're talking about, oh, this does for showers what Jules did for oceans, oceans, the sea. Like you never want to get in the shower again. And look, I get it. It is like it's a combination of Texas Chainsaw and Psycho, isn't it? It's like in the
Yeah.
shower, and it is pretty brutal. And obviously, there's a very key moment earlier where Mia says, "I want to know what it's like to be in the presence of pure evil like that. I want to know what he smells like. I want to look in his eyes," which is fair enough to say until you're faced with him, and then you're like, "Actually, no, I don't want that." Um, and yeah, I guess he just uses this chainsaw in the most brutal fashion anyone could use a chainsaw. I mean, I've used a chainsaw a bit. Maybe I didn't oil it properly, but it was getting it was getting caught on loads of stuff. So
Ooh.
all I kept thinking was that chainsaw's gonna get caught on bone and sinew and muscle, and it's flying through everyone like they're made of butter.
Oh, it's so good though. It's really funny and frantic, and the bit where it sort of like gets caught in her hair and like rips off a bit of
Oh my
like a
God, yeah.
scalp, like scalping is one of the things that
Yeah.
I'm most like, oh, that's horrid.
Oh,
And then obviously the fantastic shot of like the chainsaw like going up this guy's ass and chopping his dick off, and it's just like
was
flailing
this
around.
was this the scene that you said affected you a lot, or was there
No,
one a little bit later?
that's still to come.
It's still to come. Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought if they're naked in the shower and they're getting it on, we're gonna see some sort of genital mutilation. We're gonna see. I mean, maybe I didn't expect it to go quite as far as it did with it
I
right up
love
his arse. But also, like, it's something where traditionally, traditionally in a film like this, like a splatter movie or like a really gory slasher movie, nudity kind of goes hand in hand with women and women's bodies being mutilated
Mhm.
in a way. So in the most disturbing way, it was refreshing to see a man's body sort of be taken apart in such a way in a film like this. I feel like art's all about gender equality when it comes to
Yeah, so this is something that so a lot of people thought that the first Terrifier and some of the second one, I think Damien Leone's been accused of being a misogynist quite a lot by
Mm,
people.
okay.
I personally have never seen it that way. Not to say that people who do are wrong or anything, but for me, it never even crossed my mind. I just took it as it happens that the two main characters in the first one are women, and
Mm,
therefore they're the ones that die. But Damien Leone has actively said, I read every single comment, every single review. I understand what people are saying, and he's said, it was never intended with
mm,
that sort of thing in mind. He said equal opportunities and stuff, and kind of made the same sort of joke that you did. So I think that's why there's a lot more emphasis this time on like getting
yeah.
coupled and getting because I mean that
Mm,
you do get a dick cut off in the second one, and there's more men being attacked and stuff. But obviously, our main character's a girl, so
yeah.
it's
I
always
guess
going to come down to that.
it's just like it's just like a traditional thing, a horror traditional thing, like with the final girl and the slasher movies the way they are. A lot of the
Yeah.
time they are set up to sort of have this back and forth because sometimes it's a bit more interesting because when you have male characters in slasher movies, they usually try and take on the killer with as an alpha male, don't they? They usually try and
Hmm.
just that's the only way that they can sort of fight fire with fire essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas the stories we get with final girls and other female characters in movies like this feel a little bit more interesting, feel a bit more nuanced, feel like there
Mm.
are more opportunities for it to go into different directions and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of probably what I saw it as, but I understand there are some slashers that maybe do feel a bit like the director's acting out some sort some sort of terrible
Yeah.
fantasy.
But
But
I
I
think
never
that's why
quite
it
feel it with
helps.
this.
No, and I think that's why it helps that it doesn't go into that sort of sexual violence territory.
Mm,
I think if
yeah.
the first film, because obviously he hangs the girl up naked and chops her in half from the vagina. I think if
Mm,
he'd actually been shown to be getting some sort of sexual satisfaction from that or like doing something else sexual, then it probably would have felt a lot more like gross and exploitative. But I think the way that I saw it was like he was just hanging her up like she was like an animal, like a pig
yeah.
or whatever.
Like meat, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a sexual thing. So,
Mm.
but it's good to
Yeah,
know that Damien Leone like listens to his audience and takes things into account though, rather than just being like, no, that's not true. I'm not that man and blah blah
yeah.
blah and
Because there
carrying
are
on doing.
some filmmakers who probably would do that. They either get
Yeah,
defensive or they double down on it. Do
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like some people
yeah.
would. Okay, and then we get Art doing an angel in the blood as well, which was a moment from the trailer as well, which is yeah, that's pretty good. That's nice, isn't it? At least he's having fun.
Mhm.
So I think Sienna, around about this point, learns about the mall killings, like the bomb going off in the mall. She panics and goes, "Oh, it's definitely him because I saw him there, and now this has happened." She basically convinces Greg to go and get Jonathan because he's going to be one of Art's targets. So he goes to get him from university. Um, and then she is dreaming. Oh yeah, we also didn't mention obviously the flashbacks to when she was sort of talking to her dad, um, who's played by Jason Patrick as well from Lost Boys,
Mhm.
and he sort of shows her the outfit, doesn't he? Picture of the outfit.
Yeah,
I wish it made a comeback. I feel like it should have made a comeback. Maybe if it
yeah.
would have been a bit too on the nose, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I
I'm
kind of
sure
like
you
it.
do.
It's just epic, isn't it? It's just epic. It's not just that. It's not just that. It's but it's just epic. Like I don't know the visuals of it. Like her, imagine her in that outfit with a flaming sword. Absolutely ridiculous,
Yeah.
but awesome. It's been
No, I
earned as
agree.
well. I feel like it's been earned. Like we've had these flashbacks. She wore it in the first film, the second film to beat him. I feel like yeah. I don't know. Um. So while she's having that dream, uh, yeah. So obviously there's a moment where Greg is waiting outside the university. He says, "Come on, Jonathan, I'm here to pick you up." And a horrible, distorted voice, "I'll be out in a
Mm,
minute." And we go, "Oh, hang on a minute. Something ain't quite right. He's been
mm.
he's been hacked." Um, and then Sienna wakes up, goes downstairs, and Art and Victoria are already there. And this is all. How long was she asleep for? Because this has all happened while she was asleep. Victoria's wearing like her makeshift clown costume. She's got the mask. She's got the face paint on, so she's very much looking like Art currently.
Mhm.
They've invaded her home, and Greg is like pinned up on the wall. That's right, isn't it? He's pinned up on the wall without a
Yeah,
head, and the head is on top of a Christmas tree.
yeah,
I mean, he's sick, but he's creative, isn't he?
yeah.
And then Art mallets her on the head, so she gets knocked out. And when she wakes up, she is like gaffer taped to the chair. And yeah, just I guess this is just more horrible stuff to try and break her down, I guess, at this stage, torture her even more so. And again, like I kind of understood, but again, for the first time here, Art seems to speak through Victoria. That's right, isn't it?
Mm.
Which I don't know. How did you feel about that? Being able to hear essentially this the first time we've had this? Something like this?
Yes, I kind of read it more as that I think I kind of
'Cause
read
you,
it more as that, like, Victoria is, like, the demon, and then
okay,
Art is
okay.
just kind of like her. I don't know. It kind of feels like
Puppet.
Victoria is the demon, and yeah, and Art's just like the puppet, like
Because she said something
the
about
muscle, I guess, like
yeah,
almost like her pet. Although I don't think she's in charge necessarily. I think it's just that he's there to do the violence, and she's there
yeah.
to like mock and tell,
Mm.
and talk to them, and
Because she
so
said something like, "Oh, we're gonna mutilate you, like just like I did to this stupid whatever." And he was, but talking
mm,
about Victoria, wasn't it? So like talking about the
yeah,
body that it was occupying. Yeah, I don't know, because thinking of it as being like Art talking through her, I don't know. I didn't feel like I needed to hear anything he would necessarily be thinking or something like that.
no,
That kind of takes away from it a little bit. Yeah. Um.
yeah.
So yeah, then we get. I mean, I pretty much knew what was going to happen. So it seems I saw like the tube. I was like, someone's going down her, someone's going down her throat. Like it's going to be
Yeah,
something.
this
Uh,
is the one for me. This is the
oh, this is the one. Okay.
yeah,
So there's obviously we've had instances of this in various types of media. I can't think exactly what, but I've seen it a few times where they like put a bucket on someone's stomach.
yeah,
Is it? It might be in a hostel film. Put a bucket in someone's stomach, on someone's stomach with rats in, and then heat it, and the rats like dig to
yeah.
escape the heat, dig into the stomach. This was like a version of that, but with a long, clear tube, similar to what's his name? Oh God.
I don't
The rumors that guy from Pretty Woman once apparently put a gerbil up his ass using a tube like that. Richard
Richard
Gere.
Gere.
Yeah.
What?
If you search Richard Gere,
I
do you
can't.
know?
I can't. This is a work laptop. I'll get in trouble.
All right, okay. I think it's an urban legend, like a
I
rumor,
should
and
hope it
apparently
is.
it's like he had to be taken to hospital because he had a gerbil up his ass. That was the rumor. Anyway, it's a spin off. It's a type of that, but in the mouth using rats, and they dig down into her mouth, into her throat, and then Victoria cuts her throat, and the rats come out. So, what was it about that
It's
particular thing that affected you?
oh,
Would you say?
it's the because it's not even that he just puts the tube like around her mouth. He like jams it
Mm,
into her mouth, doesn't he? So
yeah,
she's like coughing up blood, and I
yeah.
I don't know what it is. I've got a real sensitive thing about watching people gag. So
Mm.
like anything where yes. Anyway, moving on. Um, I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, some people like
Um,
it, some people don't so much.
look,
If you got
I'm
a
not
weak
kink
stomach,
shaming. I'm not kink shaming.
There's nothing kinky about this. This is
No.
horrific.
So have you seen is it See No Evil with Kane in the wrestler?
Oh my God, yes, I have seen that. Not for a long time,
Okay.
but
There's a bit in that where one of the girls gets a wine bottle shoved down her throat and he puts it in her mouth and he like taps it until it goes down in and you see it in her throat.
yeah.
And
Bloody okay.
anything like that, anything like the fat guy in Seven where he'd been like forced to eat and I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, just anything about that, like something being forced down your
Do you
throat.
remember when
Ah,
do you remember when in Alien when Ash tries to put like a rolled up magazine down Ripley's throat?
ugh,
That
yeah,
always used to freak me out because I was like, that's a horrible way to try and like kill someone.
yeah.
Have this
Anything like
magazine.
that really, really gets me. And
Have
I
this
also
copy of Vogue.
absolutely love rats. So
Oh, rats
anything
are lovely,
involving
aren't
the
they?
rats were really upsetting me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was the first one where the first
Mm,
film, I think the entire franchise where I actually like I just had to just cover my eyes and wait for it to be over. So I was like, this is
yeah.
horrible. And also
So
again the thought of Sienna watching her only her only living relative
yeah, I
die in
know.
such a gory way, literally like less than a meter away from her. I was
It's
just
horrific.
like,
Like
"Oh,
you wouldn't be able to comprehend that. You probably pass out just from
yeah,
even trying to
sure."
comprehend that happening. But yeah, Art brings in Gabby afterwards, and there's obviously a bit of a moment where she's trying to wake her mum up when her mum's obviously dead, which is pretty horrific.
Mm,
Um, oh yeah, initially they do like a bit of a fake out where they go like, "Oh, look at this head. This is Gabby's head," and it's like a skull with some meat left on it. But
mm,
after they bring in Gabby, they go, "Actually, that head is Jonathan's." Now, I didn't believe this for a second. I was thinking they could have got that head from anywhere because they've been killing tons of people.
agreed.
A character like Jonathan, who's established as quite a major player in this franchise as well. Probably, I don't think it would happen off screen. I think we're going to
Mm,
get a Justice for Jonathan hashtag going around, and
definitely.
even if Damien Leone is his intention is that that was Jonathan, I feel like if he does listen to fans, he might do a reverse on it potentially.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
so Crown of Thorns. Victoria's got a crown of thorns on during this sequence, Passion of the Christ style. She jams those crown of thorns onto Sienna's head. What do we
Mm.
think this represents? Is it just here's some more pain because thorns are going to be horrible in your head, or
Genuinely, at this point, I haven't got the foggiest. I don't understand.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, because it's
hoping
almost like
that something's gonna make sense in the next one, but at this point,
hmm,
I no idea. I don't think I even have a theory really, other
because
than
it's
the fact
almost like
that, like, it's very, like, Jesus-like, and then did you notice that, like, when she falls down at one point as well, Art, like, whips her with the intestines?
yeah. So it is
Oh,
very Christ-like. It's very like
um,
crucifixion. There
yeah.
are clearly the visuals that kind of mirror that in a way. Whether it's supposed to just fully drive home the fact that Sienna is this like figure, almost like biblical figure, in a way. But I don't know. Like I don't know
Is
if
it
I'm
just that it's
fully
Christmas
convinced. Maybe just because it's Christmas.
and
Yeah,
he's just taking it too far? I don't know.
you love Jesus, do you? Have a crown of thorns on your head.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So at this point, Victoria tries to possess Sienna. I thought it was kind of scary. I've always found like kind of the old red eyeballs quite scary, and Sienna looked quite scary when that was happening.
Mhm.
But she manages to resist, pushes back. Don't you dare possess me, you bitch! And then that is when they say, "Oh, she's a strong one. This one is, yes." Almost like they're trying to get her to be the new vessel, I guess, in a
I think
way,
so, yeah.
potentially. Um, Yeah, but she managed to resist, and it's around this time that she manages to get the sword out of the present, her father's sword, and this is when she takes on. Well, she just chops Victoria's head off straight away, doesn't she? That's pretty much what she does,
Mhm.
and Victoria melts into a load of horrible trifle, similar to the gunk she was like
Civic
in the
type.
bath of. Yeah,
Yeah,
lovely.
green goo.
And again, this isn't biblical, but this is very fantasy. In the Art and Sienna, like basically have like basically a sword fight.
Yeah.
But he's got a chainsaw. And again, the fact that this was just happening in a house, can you imagine if this was happening I don't know, anywhere else, somewhere outside, like on top of something. I don't mean like on a mountain top or a hilltop or anything, but just like somewhere cool. Do you know what I mean? Like
On top
somewhere
of
cool.
the Empire State Building. They're in New York, so
On top of the Empire State Building, exactly.
why
Yeah,
not?
why not? I'm sold. On a bridge somewhere. One of them ends up going in the water. Do you know what I mean? Just like somewhere else. Just the fact that it just feels like it's regressed to the point that now we're just in someone's house.
Yeah,
Because yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Something else. I needed something more from this finale.
I
Um,
agree.
she gains the upper hand, but then Victoria's horrible blood burns through the floor, and creates a portal to hell. Gabby falls in, and then there's obviously a moment where Sienna has to decide: can does she follow through? Not literally, but does she follow through and kill Art? Finally save herself. But even then, I'm like, would it work? Who knows? Or does she go and save Gabby? She decides to go and save Gabby, goes and grabs her, and goes, what am I gonna use as a long item to get her? Use a sword, and of course, it's cutting her hands. And then it didn't even. I thought surely she's gonna save her. Nope. Gabby falls into the abyss with the sword. Now, obviously, there's a bit where Sienna now says, "I will find you." So, Terrifier 4, Sienna goes to hell.
I wish she wouldn't though. Gabby's annoying. She's a nosy little bitch.
Oh yeah,
Every
oh yeah, we didn't even say.
every single thing that Sienna asked her not to do. Don't read my diary. Don't open that present. Don't blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Does it
she
all.
says, "I'm a
Can't
snooper,"
mind her
doesn't
own
she?
little business.
How much of my
She's
journal did you
annoying.
read? I read it all,
All of it.
actually. I read all
Yeah.
of it. I read it cover to cover, and now I know everything. And I've got some questions. Yeah, out of order, really, isn't it?
She's
Um,
annoying. And also,
oh,
Jonathan very quickly gets forgotten about, and I don't appreciate that.
no.
Hashtag justice for Jonathan.
Hashtag justice for Jonathan. Yeah, you should think. Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? That's why he can't be dead, surely. And maybe even Sienna believes that he's not dead. Oh, actually, I suppose I don't know. If she'd got any reason to. Her
She
hands
doesn't care,
heal.
apparently.
What was that?
She doesn't care, apparently.
She don't give a shit.
She's
Her
got Gabby
hands.
now.
It's because she looks at her hands and goes, "I'm immortal. My hands
Yeah.
have healed. You wait. I'm going to hell." Um, I'm assuming Art's like 10 feet down the road, so why can't she just go after him and and slap him around the back of the head and
Yeah.
finish him off? Yeah, because he's waiting for a bus. She could chase him, find him on the bus stop, and go, "You pathetic little
Round the-
rat!" Slap her around the back of the head. Um,
Oh.
with Art, I'm like, how does he? First of all, where's he going? Is he going back to that house? Who knows? How does he know which side of
How's
the
he got
road to get
bus
the bus?
fare?
Has he got bus fare? Uh, How how does he know which side of the road to get the bus? You know when you get on the bus sometimes. I mean, I've not done it for a while, but you realise this is going the wrong fucking way. This is going the opposite direction to where I want to go. Fuming. Um, yeah, he gets on the bus, and then Sienna says, "I'm off to rescue Gabby in hell." Uh, yeah, and who knows what Terrifier 4 will bring? I don't know. More of the same. Maybe some stuff in hell. I don't know.
We're
Um,
hoping for a Valentine's Day one.
okay,
We
okay.
want we want to see art like just ruining people's dates, but also like being
Hmm.
romantic.
Being a little bit romantic, eh? Okay.
Yeah,
But is poor Victoria's dead?
he can find someone new.
He didn't really care about her either, did he?
No,
He wasn't even devastated when she got her head lopped off, even when she was looking like her. She was looking like him. Sorry. Okay. So there we go. That is Terrifier 3. We got to rate the film A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Rate good or rate bad. Do you know where you're going to fall on this? Well, actually, first of all, before you give it a rating, can you just
Mhm.
maybe say where it sits in the trilogy in terms of how much, whether it's your favorite or your mid or your kind of least favorite or anything like that?
I actually think it's my favourite, even
Okay,
though
okay.
even though there's a there's a bit too much Sienna and lore and story for me. I would
Hmm.
prefer it to be a bit more just art. But I think the second one I really enjoy, but all the clown cafe stuff does absolutely nothing for me. I'm not interested in it.
Again, there was like
Uh,
no Clown Cafe stuff in this one. I think the song played at
thank
one
God.
point, but
Yeah, thank God.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, so the second one I really love, but the Clown Cafe stuff could all be cut out for me and I would be happy. Um, the first one I love, but it's just a little bit too dark and grim, and
Mm.
there's absolutely zero plot. So
Yeah, there's no plot.
yeah,
There's no
I think
like
that's my favourite.
your favorite. Okay.
Mm.
So if that's the case, what would you rate it?
Ooh, that's really hard. What's the
Maybe
equivalent of like a 4 star? Like a B plus,
a
maybe?
4 star, an 8 out of 10. I would say a B plus. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
a B
I think
plus.
a B plus. I think a B plus. So I think that I don't think it's a perfect like 10 out of 10 where there isn't stuff that I would like different,
No.
but it's still high up there, and it
Mm.
probably will be a new Christmas film that I will watch every year.
It's always good to have a new Christmas film to enjoy regularly, isn't it?
Yeah.
As long as it's not Better Watch Out, because I will lose my rag. I'll lose my rag. I'll be so angry. That little
Oh, it's
bastard.
so good. Yeah, but if you watch it, bad things happen to him. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, but it's just something for worth. I don't know. Is it worth it? Okay, so in terms of where this sits, as I said, I didn't really like the first Terrifier. I enjoyed the second one to a degree, but as I said, it still wasn't my favorite. But I think watching this film made me appreciate the second one a bit more because it made
Mhm,
me realize what potentially was missing from this third one that I would have enjoyed being included from the second one. And yeah, the lore and the Sienna stuff isn't my. I don't think it's the best, but for me, I feel like it adds just a little bit something, a bit of respite between the constant kills. And I don't know, by the time you get 3 films in, I think when it is just kill after kill after kill, even though, that's what we signed up for, I get it. But I think 3 films in, it does tend to, okay, but what else? Okay,
mhm.
but what next? I get that.
Yeah.
So I'm for this one, I'm only going to go for a C plus. That might change when I watch it again, but I think if anything, it's made me want to go and watch the second film again because I've only seen it once and I would like to just fully digest that.
Mhm.
And I think I'm going to pick up that novelization of the second film as well just so I can begin to understand everything a little bit more. And again, I'm definitely on board with you and saying that the lore is not important, the lore is not the most things, but I'm still kind of intrigued by it to know what they've decided upon, if that makes
I'm
sense.
definitely intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where they will take it in the fourth one. I think that because this one is definitely like a filler, I guess, for the
Mm.
story wise. I'm just not
Yeah,
that interested in it at the moment because it's kind
maybe.
of just like breadcrumbs. But when I've got
Mm.
the full story, I might come back in a
Filler,
year and be like,
fill,
I love it.
filler is a good way to describe it, and but I do find that frustrating with films because I always feel like you've got all the effort to get this film made. Let's just give us a full rounded story. And again, I know I've mentioned Michael Myers like about 10 times in this film, in this review, sorry, of this in this episode. But something like Halloween Kills, where they go, you know what? This film is just Michael Myers walking about killing people. Even
Ugh,
though in the first film we've established that this is the middle part of a trilogy, and that something's going to happen. We're just going to have him milling about, killing people. Nothing much is going to
yeah.
happen. People are going to shout "Evil dies tonight" over and over again.
Ugh,
Uh,
dog shit. Absolute dog.
yeah, not good. Which is why I feel like the filler parts in this film frustrate me slightly because that
Yeah.
is one of the major things that frustrates me with any trilogy. I think when the middle or the end part of the trilogy feel a little bit like they're setting something else up.
Yeah.
It feels frustrating. It feels like you're in the Marvel universe of films where you're like, I'm not actually really enjoying a film. I'm just watching a setup for another film. That's frustrating.
Yeah. I get
Um,
that.
so, but I think you can't take away from the gore effects. The practical effects are unreal,
Mhm.
like next level, like some of the best ever, I think,
Yeah.
in terms of practical effects. So, and David, Howard Thornton, great. He's great.
Mhm.
He really is, and I feel like he's really grown into this role. as time's gone on as well. Like he's really embodied it, and this has become like it has become iconic. And I probably was quite resistant against the fact of calling him an iconic character around about 1 and 2. I was like, well, I don't know. We've seen it all before. Now I kind of understand it. I
Mhm.
respect it, and I'm intrigued. I've said that already, but intrigued to see what happens in the next one.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, with Terrifier? Like, I have got friends that I'm really close with, and they love horror, but they do not like these films. They don't see why people love them. But even they can appreciate what Damien Leone has done for horror and what Terrifier films have done for like the horror crowd. The fact that, you know, he started off on a film with like something like a $3,000 budget.
Mm.
And now, you know, his films are making 20 plus million. It's
Oh yeah,
just
it's
it's
absolutely unbelievable. Yeah.
insane. And he's an iconic character. I think whether you like the film or you know the film or you care about it, I think in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, even if Terrifier 4 never happens, or even if it happens and it's an absolute flop, I do think that Art the Clown will still be up there
Mm.
with things like Michael Myers, Pennywise, and stuff. I, I think it's just that at the moment, because we're living in it, it doesn't really feel like that's a thing because we're
Yeah.
used to all of our icons. But you
Mm.
got to think there's this whole generation of people now who this will be like their Michael Myers, this will be their
Mm.
Pennywise, and they'll grow up and, you know, their kids will know who he is and
Yeah.
their kids will know who he is. And I just think that's really exciting because I don't think there is really anyone else that's become
Yeah.
like that in such a long time. So for it to come from like an indie filmmaker who obviously really cares about horror and cares about practical effects and cares about the fans, I just think whether you find them your cup of tea or not, it's just a really good
Yeah.
film to support.
It's great. It's great for horror as a genre. It's great for indie film. Like to see it beating films like Joker 2, which had £200 million budgets, is insane. Like it
Mhm.
is insane, and it is great. And yeah, when you are in the middle of it, like I mean, we watched Generation Terror, and like a lot of those
Yeah.
films that are now like about a movement or a sort of subgenre of horror. When we were in it, we didn't think this was a subgenre. We were just like, oh yeah, okay, oh this now, torture this and trap that.
Mhm.
It's only like years later that you realize that this is, and the fact that it's been so popular as well, like we probably will get films that start to try and replicate a lot of this as well.
Agreed.
And even in mainstream horror, I think like there's going to be even more of like going, oh, actually, you know what? We probably can show this terrible moment of gore,
Mhm.
or a chainsaw gun up someone's ass, or a kid getting killed, or a bomb in a mall. You know,
I think
the
it
possibilities are
proves
endless.
that, yeah, it proves that, you know, every couple of months, especially like on Twitter and stuff, you see this influx of people saying, oh, cinema's dying because people just don't want to go to the cinema anymore and
Mm,
people want to sit at home and stream things. Why would they go to the cinema and stuff? And I feel like this year, especially with films like Terrifier and Long Legs and Maxine and stuff, I feel like maybe it's just because I'm in it and I've got a skewed view of the world, but I feel like horror fans are sort of showing that no, we will go to the cinema. We do
oh
want to
yeah,
go to the cinema. It's just that a lot of the films that we want to see, you don't send to cinema. You know, a lot of the
mm,
films that we all rave about go straight to Shudder or go straight to Netflix or
yeah,
go
yeah,
straight to wherever. So we don't get that opportunity. Whereas when you do put a film like this on this big screen, people will go and it will get people talking who don't ever go to the cinema and want to go
mm,
because they've heard about this film that's really shocking and violent and, oh, you know, we haven't been to the cinema for ages, should we go and watch that film that everyone's talking about?
yeah,
Whereas things like Joker, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the first one anyway, controversial I know, but it's it's one of those films that like every man and his dog who likes any film at all will probably be like, "Oh yeah, I'll watch that." But do I care to go and see it at the cinema? Probably not. I'll watch it when it comes on Netflix.
mm,
But horror fans are dedicated. we
Oh yeah,
wait for it all year. You know, it's October now, and we're already talking about that film that comes out in February, and we'll all probably be talking about it for the next
yep,
5 months until it's here. And then we'll all go and see it opening weekend, and then we'll all talk about
yeah,
it for 5 months.
yeah.
It's just, I don't
It is
know.
good. It is good, and I do like those moments where everyone sees the same film on the same weekend, and everybody's talking
Yeah.
about it. And some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't
Yeah.
care. It's good. It's good. It's healthy. But yeah,
Yes.
okay. There we go. Then, Terrifier 3. That was a lovely, nice deep dive into the film, and I feel like someone who probably doesn't know all that much about the franchise. I feel like I've learned something today, which was good. Liz, where can our listeners find you online if they want to keep up with anything, your output or what you're watching? I know you've got an Instagram and a Twitter as well.
Yeah, so you can find me at kill_list, LIZT, on Twitter and Instagram. I do have like a separate Instagram for movie stuff, Liz_likes_movies. And also, if I can just cheekily plug our podcast as well, the
Oh hell
Amityville
yeah!
Horror Podcast. That's me and my friend Paul here from here in the Midlands, two yam yams talking about horror, and this season we've been talking about our top picks from Shudder, including a couple of the films that we've talked about today. So check that out if you can.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll put the link to that podcast in the show notes, of course. Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our patrons over there. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Horror Hangout Podcast. You'll find us. And our website, horrorhangout.co.uk, where you can find links to all of that stuff I just mentioned. Now, next on the podcast, we're taking a little bit of a break. I know we haven't done that for a while. Can't remember the last time we had even a week off, let alone 3 weeks. But we're having 3 weeks off. I'm off to the US of A. I'll be doing loads of horror focused stuff in the US of A. So keep an eye on our social media because I'll be posting all the stuff I get up to, visiting some film locations, and different experiences and various other things. I'm going to be sharing all that stuff. So if you want to keep up to speed with it, go and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. And then we'll be back early, sort of like mid-November, and we'll be talking about Dario Argento's opera. And then we've got Heretic, another A24 horror movie with Hugh Grant in the villain role. How exciting. So yeah, we'll see you very soon. But thank you so much, Liz, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good to join. Good to chat about Terrifier 3. Come and join us on the podcast again. That's right, another invitation.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. I've been dying to air all my thoughts on it, so it's been a great time.
There
Thank
we
you so
go.
much.
It sure has been fun. Thanks everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.